The hyperbolic time chamber crackled with intensity as Goku and Gohan pushed the boundaries of their Saiyan strength. Sweat glistened on their foreheads, the air thick with anticipation. Goku, with a determined gleam in his eye, goaded Gohan to give it his all. "Let that power out, Gohan. Don't hold back." Goku's voice echoed, punctuated by the grunts and energy blasts that filled the chamber. Gohan had already achieved Super Saiyan a few months ago, but Goku knew that there was something deep within his son that he could still tap into. Gohan, feeling the weight of his father's expectations, gritted his teeth and dug deeper. The gravity within the chamber seemed to amplify, but Gohan pressed on. Suddenly, an electric surge coursed through his veins. His eyes, normally gentle, sparked with newfound intensity. In a burst of golden light, Gohan's transformation began. The raw power of Super Saiyan 2 surged through him, energy crackling around his form. Goku, eyes widening, could sense the magnitude of the transformation. The chamber itself seemed to react. The air quivered as if unable to contain Gohan's unleashed power. Goku watched in awe as his son's potential, long dormant, manifested in a spectacular display. The unleashed power radiated waves that sent shockwaves through the chamber. Gohan's aura expanded, pushing the limits of the confined space. The father-son duo, caught in this tempest of energy, exchanged glances. Goku's pride swelled, knowing that Gohan had tapped into a power even greater than before. Amidst the spectacle, the structural integrity of the chamber began to falter. Cracks spread across the floor as if protesting against the overwhelming force. The once sturdy door, a barrier between the hyperbolic realm and the outside world, trembled under the strain. Goku, sensing the impending rupture, yelled above the chaos, "Gohan, ease up a bit. We might bring this place down." But Gohan, lost in the sea of his newfound power, couldn't immediately respond. The energy coursed through him, and with an unintentional surge, he released a shockwave that shattered the door. The chamber's confines breached. The surge of energy created a blinding light. Debris scattered as the door crumbled, leaving an empty wall where the door used to be. Through the dissipating light, Goku shielded his eyes, surveying the aftermath. "Well, looks like we're gonna have to find a way out of here," he quipped, a mixture of pride and worrisome in his voice. As the dust settled, Gohan floated in the center of the chamber, surrounded by the echoes of his unleashed power. Goku approached, a smile on his face. "You did it, Gohan. Looks like I have a lot of catching up to do," as he laughed, scratching the back of his head with one hand. Gohan, still feeling the remnants of the power surge, grinned in response. The unintended destruction around them, a testament to the intensity of their training, left them standing amidst the altered landscape of the hyperbolic time chamber. The echoes of Gohan's breakthrough lingered. The lookout stood silent, a solitary sentinel over the earth. Piccolo, its guardian, gazed out over the vast expanse, his usual stoic demeanor etched with concern. Beside him, Dend, the young Namekian, fidgeted nervously, his antennae twitching in response to a disturbance only he could sense. "Something's not right," Piccolo muttered, his keen Namekian senses detecting the absence of the usual hum emanating from the hyperbolic time chamber below. Goku and Gohan had been training inside for an extended period, but now, an unsettling silence enveloped the lookout. A distant rumble disturbed the tranquility, originating from the very heart of the lookout. Piccolo's eyes narrowed as he pivoted, facing the sealed entrance to the hyperbolic time chamber. His antennae twitched, a subconscious response to the impending unknown. "What's happening in there?" Piccolo questioned, the gravity of the situation evident in his voice. Dend, glancing toward the chamber, felt a ripple of unease. "I am not sure, Piccolo. I can sense something, but it's like a disturbance in the energy. It's different from their usual training," Dend replied, his youthful face clouded with uncertainty. As the rumble intensified, Piccolo's eyes honed in on the hyperbolic time chamber's door. To his shock, the formidable entrance began to crumble, pieces of the mystical barrier falling away like dislodged fragments of a puzzle. "By Kami, what's happening?" Piccolo's exclamation betrayed a rare moment of genuine concern. He approached the crumbling door, his Namekian instincts warning him of an anomaly beyond comprehension. Turning to Dend, Piccolo asked urgently, "Is there a way to open the door from here? We need to get them out." Dend, his antennae drooping with worry, hesitated before responding, "No, Piccolo. Once the door is sealed from the inside, only those inside can open it. They must be in trouble." A sense of urgency gripped Piccolo as he surveyed the disintegrating door. The Hyperbolic Time Chamber, a place of intense training and solitude, now revealed a disturbance that transcended the limits of its mystical confines. Goku and Gohan. Inside the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, Goku and Gohan found themselves in the living quarters, surrounded by an excessive stockpile of food tailored for Saiyan appetites. The room, once a place of respite, now bore witness to the aftermath of their unintentional breakthrough. Goku, ever the optimist, leaned against a wall, his expressive eyes surveying the room. "Well, we've got more than enough food to last us, but just sitting around won't help us get out of here. What do you say, Gohan? Ready for some more training?" Gohan, his mind still grappling with the recent transformation and its consequences, nodded. "Yeah, Dad, we can't afford to waste time. Let's keep going." Following Goku's lead, they ventured deeper into the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. The living quarters gave way to an expansive training area, its dimensions shifting in response to the Scion's presence. The air crackled with the residual energy from their breakthrough. In this surreal space where time flowed differently, Goku and Gohan prepared for another round of training. The echoes of their unintentional transformation lingered, a testament to the untapped potential within. Goku's eyes gleamed with determination as he spoke. "We've got to make the most of our time in here. Who knows what else we can achieve?" Gohan, mirroring his father's resolve, nodded. "You're right, Dad. Let's push ourselves further." The room, overly stocked with food intended for Saiyan consumption, provided sustenance for their rigorous training routine. Goku and Gohan, choosing to eat like normal humans to conserve resources, found a delicate balance between physical exertion and energy conservation. As they trained, Goku suggested, "What if we go even deeper into the Hyperbolic Time Chamber? Maybe there's more to discover, more answers waiting for us." Gohan, intrigued by the idea, responded, "It's worth a shot. Let's see what's in there." Venturing further into the depths of the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, the environment shifted once more. The air became charged with an otherworldly energy, and the training area expanded, revealing new challenges and unexplored potentials. Goku and Gohan, surrounded by the echoes of their unintentional breakthrough, resumed their training. Energy blasts illuminated the space as they pushed each other to new heights, seeking to understand the depths of their newfound power. 3 days had passed since the unexpected disturbance within the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, and Piccolo stood on the lookout, a veil of uncertainty draped over his usually composed features. Dend, at his side, fidgeted with nervous energy, the weight of the situation evident in their shared silence. Despite their collective wisdom, neither Namekian nor Guardian could decipher a solution to the mystery unfolding within the chamber. The crumbling door remained a symbol of their powerlessness, and the absence of Goku and Gohan's presence weighed heavily on Piccolo's shoulders. "I can't sense anything from inside," Piccolo muttered, his Namekian eyes fixed on the sealed entrance. "Whatever's happening, they're beyond our reach." Dend, sensing the growing frustration in Piccolo's tone, hesitated before responding. "Piccolo, I wish I could do more, but the Hyperbolic Time Chamber's magic is beyond my understanding. I've never encountered anything like this." As the lookout bore witness to the impending Cell Games, Piccolo's stoicism faltered for a moment. The fate of the Earth rested on the shoulders of two trapped warriors, and time was slipping away. Vegeta. On the lookout, Vegeta, arms crossed and scowl etched across his brow, surveyed the gathered Z fighters. Tension lingered in the air as they faced the stark reality of Goku and Gohan's absence. His Saiyan pride masked any concern he might have harbored, but beneath the surface, an undeniable anxiety festered. 3 days wasted, and those idiots are still trapped, Vegeta grumbled to himself, eyes narrowing in frustration. His thoughts oscillated between the urge to train and the mounting uncertainty regarding the impending Cell Games. The Z Fighters, a disparate assembly of warriors, exchanged glances and muttered conversations. Tension simmered as they awaited Piccolo's update. Vegeta, however, remained aloof, his gaze fixed on the horizon, a silent storm of conflicting emotions brewing within him. "Piccolo, we need a plan," Krillin voiced the collective concern, breaking the uneasy silence. "The Cell Games are days away, and without Goku and Gohan." Vegeta interrupted, his tone sharp. "I don't need anyone to tell me the obvious. We can't afford to wait any longer. If those fools don't figure a way out, we'll have to face Cell without them." Piccolo, sensing the growing impatience, addressed the group. "I understand the urgency. We'll have to prepare for the worst. Cell won't wait for Goku and Gohan." As the Z Fighters began to strategize for the approaching Cell Games, Vegeta's thoughts swirled with a mixture of frustration and determination. The gravity of the situation, coupled with the absence of Goku's presence, fueled a latent fire within him. Piccolo. The lookout, now a makeshift war room, buzzed with uneasy deliberations. Gohan's absence resonated particularly with Piccolo, a mentor caught between concern for his student and the looming threat of Cell. "Vegeta has a point," Piccolo acknowledged, his deep voice cutting through the discussions. "We can't wait any longer. The Cell Games are upon us, and we need to be ready." As the Z Fighters exchanged glances, Piccolo continued, "We'll hold off on telling Chi-Chi for now. There might still be a breakthrough, and we don't want to worry her unnecessarily. But after the Cell Games, if Goku and Gohan don't return, we'll have to face the consequences." Trunks, Krillin, Tien. Trunks, the weight of his future battles with the androids still fresh in his mind, spoke up, "Piccolo, there has to be something we can do. Goku and Gohan can't be stuck in there while Cell is out here. We need every advantage we can get." Krillin, the perennial optimist, added, "Maybe we should try reaching out to Kami or King Kai. They might have insights or know someone who can help." Tien, his third eye reflecting a mix of concern and determination, suggested, "I've seen Goku and Gohan overcome impossible odds before. Let's not give up hope just yet. We should exhaust every possibility." Vegeta, disdain evident in his tone, sneered, "Hope won't change the fact that we're running out of time. If they can't get out, we'll face Cell without them. End of story." Piccolo, absorbing the input from his comrades, nodded. "We'll continue to explore our options. But, as Vegeta said, we need to be prepared for the worst." The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air as the Z Fighters grappled with the reality before them. Piccolo, normally the voice of reason, found himself standing at the precipice of uncertainty, torn between the hope of a resolution and the inexorable approach of the Cell Games. Goku and Gohan. For years had already passed since they entered the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, and 3 years since the door shattered. Gohan, now standing almost as tall as Goku, waited in a fighting stance, his battle-hardened demeanor a testament to the rigorous training within the mystical confines. The remnants of their Scion armor hung loosely, and torn spandex revealed the toll of relentless battles. Goku, lying on the ground after the latest round, felt the exhilarating burn in his muscles. He could sense the transformation looming, the surge of power waiting to burst forth. Slowly rising, he looked at Gohan with pride. His son, his sparring partner, had grown into a formidable warrior, winning 8 out of 10 matches. The gap between them narrowed, and Goku could feel the relentless pursuit of strength that emanated from Gohan. In the training arena's confined space, Goku grinned, his Scion instincts tingling with excitement. "You've gotten stronger, Gohan. Let's see if I can still keep up." Gohan, matching his father's intensity, nodded. "One more round, Dad. Let's make it count." The battle erupted with blinding speed, each strike echoing through the hyperbolic time chamber. Goku initiated the Kaioken, his aura blazing with crimson intensity. Gohan, no stranger to the technique, met his father's challenge with unwavering resolve. The air crackled with energy as they exchanged blows, the training area bearing witness to the culmination of years spent pushing the limits. Goku, feeling the ceiling of his power approach, grinned. I can do it this time. Ha-ea-ea. As if shattering invisible barriers, Goku's energy surged as he yelled throughout the chamber. The Kaioken, once a limit, now served as a catalyst for a transformation beyond its confines. The air itself seemed to warp as Goku transcended, his body undergoing a profound transformation. The lookout. Back on the lookout, the Z fighters, their collective senses attuned to the shifts in energy, felt yet another seismic wave emanating from the hyperbolic time chamber. Tension hung in the air as they exchanged uncertain glances. Trunks, breaking the silence, voiced the question lingering in everyone's mind. What are they doing in there? Krillin, squinting as if trying to see through the lookout itself, added, whatever it is, it feels different. Goku and Gohan have been in there for years. What could be happening now? Tien, his third eye reflecting a mix of curiosity and concern, remarked, they must be really pushing themselves to get out of there. Yamcha added his 2 cents in, we should get a few training sessions in since we only have a few days left. We need to come up with a plan for Cell. As he said that, the other Z warriors all nodded in agreement except Vegeta, who stood there with his arms crossed and scoffed. Cell Games. The desolate wasteland stretched out before them, the air tense with anticipation. The Z fighters stood in a loose circle, eyes fixed on the lone white arena where the Cell Games were about to unfold. Piccolo, his demeanor stoic, took a moment to explain the unexpected turn of events to the puzzled Cell. Cell chuckled, the sound resonating across the barren landscape. So, the mighty Goku and his son are fashionably late. How amusing. Vegeta, brimming with Saiyan pride, stepped forward. I'll be the first to challenge you, Cell. Prepare yourself. As Vegeta and Cell assumed fighting stances, a sudden spike in energy caught everyone's attention. 2 powerful key signatures surged in the distance. Goku and Gohan were on their way. The lookout. On the lookout, an adult Gohan stood resolute, his Super Saiyan 3 form radiating power. Golden locks cascaded down his back, and crackling electricity surrounded him. Goku, in his Super Saiyan 2 form, stood beside his son, a proud smile on his face. The mental and physical toll of 7 years spent in the hyperbolic time chamber had transformed Gohan into a formidable warrior. He was no longer the carefree boy, but a seasoned fighter with an indomitable resolve. Dend rushed over, offering healing, but Gohan powered down to his Super Saiyan state and utilized instant transmission, his newfound skill learned from Goku. Goku followed suit, using the technique to join Gohan on the battlefield. With a wave and a cheerful greeting, they made their way to the Cell Games. Cell Games Arena. Gohan materialized next to Vegeta, a new aura surrounding him. The Z fighters looked on in awe, confusion etching their faces. Gohan appeared as a grown man, his power dwarfing anything they had sensed before. Goku arrived moments later, reverting to his base form. Vegeta, sensing the immense change in Gohan, questioned him. Gohan, more stoic than ever, revealed the reality of his lost childhood and the intense training within the hyperbolic time chamber. Vegeta, a perceptive warrior, could sense the profound transformation within the hybrid Saiyan. Gohan was now more attuned to his Saiyan heritage than his human side. Vegeta stepped out of the ring, acknowledging that this battle was for Gohan to handle. Gohan, standing tall and focused, got into a fighting stance. The atmosphere crackled with energy as the spectators tried to comprehend the incredible changes in the young warrior. Piccolo, wide-eyed, turned to Goku. What the hell happened in there? Goku explained the shattering of the door, Gohan's new transformation, and the tear in reality that allowed them to return. Piccolo, usually composed, found himself almost speechless at the revelation. New transformation? The Namekian asked in question, but Goku didn't answer. Instead, he signaled Piccolo to just watch. Cell, observing the scene with growing confusion, muttered to himself, smirking, well, if it isn't the boy who's grown into a man. I'm curious, Gohan. What happened in that chamber of yours? Gohan replied with a steely gaze. Training. A lot of it. Gohan spoke with an assertive tone. Are we going to fight, or will you stand there all day? Cell scoffed at the young Saiyan's audacity, and the battle began. Gohan, propelled by years of intense training, and Cell, the android with an insatiable appetite for power, clashed with a force that sent shockwaves through the desolate landscape. Gohan, initially holding back, assessed Cell's strength, gauging the extent of the android's power. Vegeta, watching from the sidelines, this boy, he's not the same as before. Krillin, whispering to Trunks, he's grown up, and not just in age. Their movements were a blur, a dance of power and speed. Gohan displayed an unprecedented mastery over his Super Saiyan form, every movement calculated and precise. Cell, despite his arrogance, struggled to keep up with the intensity of Gohan's assault. Gohan, mid-battle, I've spent 7 years in that chamber. It's time to show you the results. Midway through the battle, Gohan unleashed a flurry of strikes, each blow resonating with the accumulated might of 7 years spent within the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. His movements were fluid, a seamless blend of power and finesse. Cell, caught off guard, found himself on the defensive. Cell, grinning, you might have grown, but I'm still perfect. Then, in a moment of electrifying speed, Gohan closed the distance between them and delivered a devastating gut punch to Cell. The impact reverberated through the arena, and Cell, unable to withstand the force, spat up Android 18. She laid there unconscious and unaware of what was going on. Gohan, without a moment's hesitation, pressed his advantage. The battlefield became a tempest of energy, the clash between Gohan and Cell reaching unprecedented heights. Vegeta, nodding, Kakarot, you've done well with the boy. Goku, smiling, Gohan's become quite the fighter. Cell, now pushed to his limits, struggled to contend with the relentless onslaught. Gohan's attacks were a manifestation of years of pent-up determination and sacrifice. The battle, once thought to be in Cell's favor, had taken a dramatic turn. Gohan, with determination, this ends now. Gohan's eyes narrowed with determination as he sped towards Cell, delivering a rapid series of blows that sent the android soaring high into the air. As Cell struggled to regain his bearings, Gohan's aura intensified, the energy swirling around him in a pulsating dance. With a swift movement, Gohan powered up to Super Saiyan 2, the golden energy cascading around him like an electrified shroud. He extended both hands by his side, fingers tensed with controlled power. The air crackled with anticipation as Gohan began to chant, each syllable resonating with the gathering energy. Ka, mi, ha-ia. A colossal wave of vibrant blue ki erupted from Gohan's hands, forming a majestic sphere of energy that dwarfed the landscape below. The intensity of the Kamehameha radiated with an ethereal glow, a beacon of power that seemed to pierce the heavens themselves. As Gohan thrust the wave toward Cell, the air vibrated with the sheer force of the attack. The Kamehameha tore through the sky, leaving a trail of iridescent energy in its wake. Cell, caught in the maelstrom, looked on with a mix of astonishment and desperation as the formidable energy wave hurtled towards him. The impact was cataclysmic. The Kamehameha engulfed Cell in a dazzling display of energy, the force of the blast sending shockwaves across the desolate landscape. The earth trembled beneath the ferocity of Gohan's attack, and the Z fighters, watching from the sidelines, shielded their eyes from the blinding brilliance. As the dust settled and the echoes of the Kamehameha's fury faded, Gohan descended to the ground, his aura still ablaze with residual energy. The once indomitable Cell ceased to exist, a testament to the overwhelming power Gohan had harnessed after years of relentless training. Gohan, his chest heaving with exertion, surveyed the aftermath of his decisive blow. The Z fighters, a mixture of relief and awe etched on their faces, approached him with a newfound respect for the warrior who had emerged from the crucible of the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. The battle had reached its zenith, and as Gohan stood amidst the remnants of his triumph, the destiny of the Earth hung in the balance, forever altered by the unleashed power of a Saiyan who had transcended the limits of time and space. As the long-awaited battle finally came to an end, everyone had gathered at the lookout once more. Yamcha, ever the impulsive one, urgently yelled at Dend, who loomed near Android 18's unconscious form. Yamcha, impatiently, move. Dend, before she wakes up and decides to take revenge. Krillin, stepping in as the voice of reason, declared that no one was going to kill anyone now that Cell had been defeated by Gohan. With a renewed sense of camaraderie, he asserted that they could all be friends. Android 18, regaining consciousness, cast her gaze upon the towering figure of the adult Gohan, a peculiar pink tint coloring her cheeks. Android 18, softly, Gohan did? Goku, with his characteristic cheerfulness, chimed in to explain the heroic act. Yeah, he hit Cell so hard he made him spit you back out. Gohan, catching Android 18's gaze, noted the subtle change in her expression but couldn't quite interpret its meaning. Piccolo, not one to let a moment slip by without his input, added to the conversation. Piccolo, you should thank Krillin. He's been by your side since Cell spat you out. Krillin, ever the modest hero, replied with a grin. Krillin, casually, no big deal. I enjoyed it. I couldn't just leave you there. However, Android 18's response was far from what Krillin expected. Android 18, defiantly, expect me to fall at your feet now? Big strong boy rescues me, so I'm his forever, right? Sorry, pal, I'm not that easy. With those words, she turned away and gracefully ascended into the sky, leaving the Z fighters in her wake. Piccolo, bringing the focus back to the task at hand, suggested summoning Shenron. Piccolo, we should hurry and summon Shenron. On the lookout, with the 7 Dragon Balls gathered, the Z fighters prepared for their wishes. The first, a collective decision, aimed to bring back all those who lost their lives due to Cell's destructive rampage. The second wish, a personal plea from Krillin, faced an unexpected obstacle. Krillin wished for Android 18 and 17 to become normal humans, but the magnitude of the android's power rendered the wish impossible. Adjusting on the fly, Krillin redirected the wish to remove the explosive devices within the androids. The wish was granted, and the Dragon Balls scattered. Tien, curious about Krillin's decision, questioned the rationale behind removing the bomb from Android 17 as well. Tien, why remove it from 17 as well? Krillin, nervously, well, you see, I just thought 17 and 18 would be good for each other. Unexpectedly, a voice cut through the air, sharp and accusatory. Android 18, indignant. You idiot, 17 and I are siblings. He's my twin brother, and you removing the bomb from within me doesn't change anything. Without another word, Android 18 shot a final glance at Gohan, who stood amidst the occurring chaos, his Scion armor in tatters. This time, she soared away into the horizon, leaving the Z fighters in her wake for good this time. In the background, Vegeta, frustrated by the ever-widening gap in power between him and the father-son Scion duo, approached Dend. Vegeta, when will the time chamber be fixed? Dend, calmly, now that they're out, I can make improvements. Give me at least 2 weeks. Vegeta, determined, I'll be here in 2 weeks then. Vegeta walked away, leaving Dend, Future Trunks, and the others to contemplate the events that had unfolded. Future Trunks, still in awe of Gohan's strength, bid his farewells and departed for his timeline. Bulma, holding baby Trunks, opened a capsule to reveal a jet, preparing to take Vegeta and their child back home. As the jet soared into the sky, Gohan and Goku remained on the lookout, realizing they had a task ahead, explaining Gohan's 7 years of intensive training in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber to Chi-Chi. Son Goku household. Chi-Chi, upon seeing her son, erupted into a fit of rage. The realization that Gohan had missed out on his childhood hit her like a tidal wave. However, in a surprising turn of events, Gohan smiled as he hugged his mother, a silent understanding passing between them. As the day wound down, Chi-Chi's anger transformed into tears of joy. The safety of her loved ones overshadowed any grievances she held. In a moment of shared happiness, she announced to Goku and Gohan that she was pregnant, and Gohan would soon be a big brother. Chi-Chi, tearfully, I'm glad my boys are home safe. The household, bathed in the warm glow of familial love, embraced the news. Gohan, reflecting on the day's events, felt a mixture of relief and accomplishment. The journey through the hyperbolic time chamber had transformed him into a formidable warrior and set the stage for a new chapter in the Sun family's life. As the news settled, the household prepared for a new addition to the family. Amidst the chaos of the cosmos and the uncertainties of the future, the Sun family found solace in the bonds that held them together. The impending birth heralded a new era for Goku, Gohan, and Chi-Chi, promising challenges and joys that would shape their lives in ways they could never have imagined. Gohan. The moon illuminated the night sky, casting a serene glow over the landscape. Restlessness gripped Gohan as he lay in bed, his mind echoing with the events of the day. Unable to find solace in sleep, he decided to seek comfort in the one thing that had always provided him refuge: training. Silently slipping into an extra orange GI that his father had given him, Gohan moved with practiced ease. The attire, a token from Goku, now served as a reminder of the vast difference between his current self and the child who once wore it. With a gentle push, he opened his bedroom window and gracefully glided into the night. The mountains, a sanctuary far from the prying eyes of humans and wildlife, beckoned him. Gohan ascended into the night, carried by the wind. Arriving at his chosen training ground, he assumed a crouching stance, a silhouette against the moonlit sky. With each breath, Gohan felt the power within him stir. The echoes of his father's teachings guided his movements as he threw kicks and punches, a dance with the shadows. In this solitary sanctuary, he confronted a mental image of Goku, his father, his mentor. The sparring match in his mind pushed him to his limits, a tribute to the Saiyan legacy that coursed through his veins. Yet Gohan's mind craved more challenge. He conjured another mental image, this time merging the specter of Cell into the battle. In the moonlit solitude, Gohan found himself pitted against the formidable duo of his father and the android. Swift kicks and precise punches sliced through the air as he fought the ghosts of his past, the echoes of battles that had forged him into the warrior he had become. In his base form, Gohan sought to conquer the intertwined adversaries. The struggle was palpable, the mental and physical strain evident in each move. As beads of sweat trickled down his brow, Gohan realized the magnitude of the challenge he had set for himself. Yet, determination burned in his eyes. The night became witness to a solitary figure, Gohan, the hybrid Saiyan, training under the watchful gaze of the moon and stars. The echoes of his punches reverberated through the mountains, a testament to his unyielding spirit. In the quiet hours of the night, he continued his midnight reflections, preparing for the uncertainties that awaited him in the days to come. Android 18. In the vast expanse of the night sky, Android 18 soared with a mixture of uncertainty and contemplation. Her existence had taken a turn, and now she found herself adrift without a clear purpose. The whereabouts of her twin brother, 17, remained unknown, and she lacked a stable place to call home. The world had changed, and with the heightened strength of the Z-Warriors, she couldn't simply impose her will as she once might have. As she traversed the nocturnal canvas, a distant figure caught her attention. Intrigued, 18 narrowed her focus and homed in on the solitary silhouette. In the quietude of the night, the unmistakable aura of someone engaged in rigorous training became apparent. Approaching stealthily, 18's enhanced eyesight allowed her to discern the familiar features of the solitary warrior. It was Son Gohan, the one who had intervened during the Cell games and, more recently, shattered the formidable Cell. As she drew closer, she observed his fluid movements, each strike and maneuver executed with precision. A sense of curiosity overcame her as she watched Gohan navigate his personal training routine. The air crackled with energy as he honed his skills in the solitude of the night. Android 18, usually reserved and composed, found herself caught between the intrigue of observing this lone warrior and the uncertainties that loomed over her own path. Gohan. As Gohan concluded his rigorous training session, the silence of the night hung in the air. Covered in a sheen of sweat and catching his breath, he broke the quietude with his words. "I know you've been watching. You can come out now." Though unable to sense Android 18's key signature, Gohan's heightened senses indicated a presence observing him. Slowly emerging from behind a boulder, Android 18 revealed herself, a slight hint of embarrassment coloring her expression. Surprised, Gohan stammered, 18? What are you doing out here? I was going wherever the air took me. Just happened to stumble upon you training. Sorry, I don't mean to make this awkward, 18 replied. Gohan, emulating his father's nervous habits, scratched the back of his head and chuckled. It's fine, really. I just didn't think anyone would be out here at this time. Cool night air brushed against Android 18 as she rubbed her arm. Yeah, it's not like I really have a place to go, you know? I don't know where my brother is, and I'm trying to find my way with this new life. Feeling a surge of guilt upon hearing her predicament, Gohan spoke without much forethought. You can come and stay at my place if you'd like. His face flushed dark red. I'll sleep on the floor, of course, and you can have the bed. Gohan's intention was purely altruistic, ensuring she had a comfortable place for the night. Thank you, Gohan, but I don't think your father would be very accepting of me intruding in your home, 18 responded. Considering the potential fallout, Gohan realized the truth in her words. No, really, it should be fine. I can't just let you stay out here by yourself, you know? He said, knowing he was bending the truth to accommodate her. Android 18's face took on a light shade of pink. Thank you, and thank you for saving me from Cell. I don't think I'd ever be able to repay you. Gohan offered her a genuine smile. No need to repay me. I was just doing what needed to be done. The night, once quiet and solitary, now held a subtle connection between the Scion warrior and the android, each grappling with their own uncertainties in the serene embrace of the moonlit sky. The stars bore witness to the unexpected friendship forming under the heavens. As both figures occupied the same space, their destinies remained intertwined, the threads of their lives weaving a fabric yet to unfold. Chi-Chi woke up to the soft glow of dawn illuminating the room. She swiftly got out of bed to start her daily routine. In the kitchen, she orchestrated a symphony of flavors, the clattering of pots and pans accompanying her culinary artistry. The scent of a hearty breakfast began to waft through the house. Goku, awakened by the inviting aroma, stumbled into the kitchen, his stomach eagerly anticipating the feast ahead. Wow, Chi-Chi, that smells good, he exclaimed with a wide grin. Thank you, Goku. Please go and wake up Gohan. Food should be done in just a few minutes, Chi-Chi replied, her hands expertly maneuvering around the kitchen. Goku, ever the eager eater, charged towards Gohan's room, announcing the impending breakfast with a hearty shout. However, his exclamation abruptly halted as he swung open the door, only to quickly shut it again. His eyes widened in disbelief. Android 18 was snugly nestled in Gohan's bed, and Gohan himself was in the midst of dressing, shirtless. With a hushed whisper, as Gohan opened the door and closed it behind him, Gohan tried to explain the situation. Listen, Dad, I promise it's not what it looks like. Goku, matching the subdued tone, retorted, What would have happened if it was your mother and not me? Aware of the complexity of the situation, Gohan pleaded with his father not to divulge the incident to Chi-Chi. Goku, agreeing to silence, added, Sure, I'll make sure to give you an extra plate. I'm sure she'll be hungry when she wakes up. As Gohan thanked his father, the window in his room flickered open and shut, signaling Android 18's discreet exit. They opened the bedroom door to have Gohan discover a note on the neatly made bed expressing her gratitude and reluctance to intrude further, signed with a heart containing the number 18. A sudden rush of emotions painted his face crimson. Meanwhile, not far from the Sun household, Piccolo meditated on a forest branch, his keen senses catching a glimpse of Android 18 soaring away from Gohan's residence. Intrigued but unbothered, he decided to dismiss the incident, sensing no unusual power fluctuations. Back at the Sun household, Gohan approached his mother in the living room who was folding laundry, asking permission to visit Bulma. Hey Mom, do you mind if I go over to Bulma's? He asked. Sure, sweetheart, is everything okay? She was still getting used to not having her baby boy around, and this was the harsh reality that they lived in now. Yeah, I just wanted to go and ask her a few things that pertain to my studies. He was obviously lying, but his mother didn't know that. All right, hun, be careful. Thanks, Mom. Placing 2 fingers on his forehead, he used his father's infamous instant transmission. Locking on to Bulma's key signature, he teleported to her destination. Capsule Corporation. Bulma was looking over blueprints to a gravity chamber design that she was working on for Vegeta to help him train. In an instant, Gohan utilized the instant transmission technique and then appeared out of thin air. "Hey Bulma!" She made a squeal noise and jumped out of her seat, almost causing her to almost have a heart attack. "My Kami Gohan, you scared the crap out of me." She was still getting used to the fact that the little boy she had went to Namek with was a full-grown man. "Sorry about that, but is Vegeta around?" he asked the scientist. "Yes, he should be out back. He just put the baby down for a nap," she replied. "Thanks, Bulma. I'll see you later." Gohan waved as he walked away. As he ventured towards the backyard, Gohan found Vegeta standing with crossed arms, gazing at the bustling city. Initiating a conversation, Gohan adopted a more serious demeanor, stating, "I need some insight from you, Vegeta." Vegeta, smirking at the transformation in Gohan's attitude. "I'll answer you under one condition. We spar." A small aura erupted from Vegeta as he then began to levitate off the ground and took off to an isolated location. Gohan had followed suit, wanting to find answers on why he felt this rage inside of him. Wasteland Training Ground. As Gohan and Vegeta faced off, they assumed their fighting stances, the tension thickening. Both springing into battle, the wasteland echoed with the sounds of clashing energy and intense sparring. Gohan, with his newfound power, initially had the upper hand. However, Vegeta, never one to back down, transforming into a Super Saiyan, the golden aura surrounding him as he unleashed a relentless assault. Feeling the challenge, Gohan responded in kind, his power surging as he too transformed into a Super Saiyan. The battlefield became a canvas of energy, each strike sending shockwaves through the air. Vegeta, in the midst of the intense exchange, urged Gohan to stop holding back, demanding to witness the full extent of his power. Vegeta's stern command spurred Gohan to push further. With a determined yell, Gohan ascended to Super Saiyan 2, his energy radiating with newfound intensity. Vegeta, however, remained unimpressed, scoffing at the young Saiyan. "No, you're still holding back. You held back against Cell 2. Show me that new power you found," Vegeta challenged, a mix of annoyance and anticipation in his voice. Gohan, fueled by Vegeta's words, let out another powerful scream. His energy surged to unprecedented levels, and his hair extended as he entered the coveted Super Saiyan 3 transformation. Vegeta, despite his pride, couldn't help but feel a bead of nervous sweat as the overwhelming power enveloped Gohan. "That's more like it," Vegeta muttered, a wry smirk on his face. The two warriors continued their fierce battle, the landscape quivering under their might. Vegeta, ever resilient, pressed on, matching Gohan blow for blow. In a display of immense strength, Gohan executed a powerful kick that sent Vegeta hurtling through the air and crashing into the ground. The impact forced Vegeta to revert to his normal state. Gohan descended, reverting to his base form as well. As Vegeta rose to his feet, breathing heavily and nursing an injured arm, he spoke with a hint of wisdom. "I know what you came here to ask me. You've reached adulthood, and your Saiyan instincts are running rampant. All you've ever known was to fight to survive like a true warrior of our race. But it's time for you to find a mate, Gohan. Only then will that itch in your soul disappear." Gohan absorbed Vegeta's words, his expression reflecting a mix of contemplation and concern. "What if I can't find one?" he asked, uncertainty in his voice. Vegeta, uncharacteristically offering advice, retorted, "You idiot! Have a backbone. No woman likes a chump. Have some confidence in yourself. If you're anything like Kakarot, you'll definitely have a hard time finding a mate. Same time and place tomorrow. We'll spar again until Dend has the time chamber back up and active." With that, Vegeta walked away, leaving Gohan to ponder the Saiyan's words and the new chapter of challenges that lay ahead. The air in West City was crisp, carrying the scent of autumn leaves as Thanksgiving approached. Streets were adorned with decorations, and the city dwellers buzzed with the anticipation of the upcoming holiday. West City was bustling with activity, people preparing for family gatherings and hearty feasts. Gohan, amidst this holiday buzz, found himself in the heart of West City, weaving through the crowded streets to grab the last-minute spices his mother needed for her homemade pies. The warmth of the season contrasted sharply with the cool breeze that danced through the streets, carrying the scent of roasted chestnuts and cinnamon. As Gohan wandered through the aisles of the grocery store, his attention was abruptly seized by a familiar blonde figure. Android 18, pushing a cart that held only a few essentials, seemingly lost in thought. Without conscious control, Gohan's steps veered towards her, a force pulling him closer. Ignoring his internal protests, he found himself standing right beside her. She, seemingly irritated, responded with a rude comment, not bothering to look at who it was. "Why are you so close? Can't you see I'm shopping?" 18. Gohan's simple utterance made her head snap up, a mixture of surprise and recognition flashing in her eyes. "Gohan, I." Her attempt to speak faltered, words escaping her momentarily. "It's been a while," Gohan continued, a genuine smile gracing his face. "Yeah, it has been. I'm sorry. 18's words were cut off by Gohan. "No need to be sorry. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. What are you shopping for?" Gohan's curiosity was piqued, considering she didn't have much of a family unless she found Android 17. "I've been staying here in West City. I've been working with Bulma on advanced android technology." Actually, 18 shared, revealing a side of her life Gohan hadn't known. His eyes widened at the revelation, questioning why Bulma had kept this information to herself. "I'm also here just getting a few things to eat since it's just myself," 18 added. A bright idea crossed Gohan's mind. "Why don't you come over to my house for Thanksgiving?" Caught off guard, Gohan felt the warmth in his face intensify as he nervously extended the invitation. Android 18 looked at him with a glint of admiration in her eyes, appreciating the gesture. "Thank you, Gohan. I'll think about it." The awkward silence that followed lingered for a few seconds before Gohan, feeling dejected, spoke. "All right then, I guess I'll see you around, 18. He walked away, disappointment evident on his face. "Damn it, Gohan, you have to get it together. That could have gone a lot better," he chastised himself. Android 18, on the other hand, stood there, wrestling with her own thoughts. "Was I being too rude just now?" she wondered, berating herself for potentially pushing away someone who seemed to genuinely care about her. "Damn it, 18, get it together," she scolded herself, recognizing her own tendency to sabotage connections. Sun household. Thanksgiving dinner was a lively affair. Goku and Gohan ate with voracious appetites, reminiscent of Saiyan feasts, while Piccolo and Chi-Chi exhibited more restrained eating habits. The hours passed with laughter, stories, and camaraderie, creating a warm atmosphere. After the feast, Piccolo, with a bow of respect, expressed his gratitude to Chi-Chi for hosting. "Thank you for having me," he said, acknowledging the bond that had developed over the years, especially in times when he played a surrogate father to Gohan. "No problem, Piccolo. It's the least I can do considering you've looked after Gohan more than a handful of times." Chi-Chi, with a smile and a gentle pat on her pregnant belly, reciprocated the sentiment. With Piccolo's departure, Goku and Gohan took on the task of cleaning up the dishes. Once everything was tidied, Gohan retreated to his room, lying on his bed and gazing at the ceiling. Deep in thought about his plans and the direction of his life, he found his mind wandering into introspection. As his eyes started to drift close, the tranquility of the night was interrupted by two soft knocks against his window. Gohan's eyes snapped to the window, and to his amazement it was no one other than Android 18. His black eyes fell upon the outfit she was wearing. A skin-tight, sleeveless black maxi dress with a slit going down the right side revealing her thigh. There was a small reflective design which gave her an ethereal glow under the moonlight. Gohan felt like he was hypnotized by her beauty as he slowly opened the window. "I'm sorry I didn't come for dinner. Can I come in?" Android 18's voice carried a hint of vulnerability, contrasting with her usual stoic demeanor. "Yeah, of course you can," Gohan said, gently moving aside to make room for Android 18 to enter. She settled on his bed, and he closed the window, taking a seat beside her. His eyes couldn't help but linger on her, and he couldn't suppress a blush. "You look Really amazing, Gohan stammered, his admiration evident in his tone. Android 18 acknowledged his compliment with a small, appreciative smile. Thank you, Gohan. You've been nothing but nice to me. Her hand found its way on top of his, their fingers intertwining. Gohan felt a rush of warmth at the contact, her thumb tracing soothing patterns over his hand. The room seemed to shrink, leaving only the two of them in a shared moment suspended in time. Gohan's heart pounded in his chest, a rhythmic drum echoing his nervous excitement. He dared not pull away. Instead, he embraced the connection, realizing the significance of this unexpected intimacy. The air buzzed with unspoken emotions, and the weight of the moment hung in the silence between them. As Gohan looked into her icy blue eyes, it felt like a silent exchange of vulnerabilities and understanding. In that gaze, they shared more than words could convey. Android 18 broke the quiet with words that resonated in the room, acknowledging the depth of her gratitude. It's Thanksgiving, and I'm really grateful for you, never wanting anything in return from the world even after saving it. For saving my life without wanting anything in return. Placing a roof over my head when I desperately needed it. I'm grateful for you, son Gohan. She confessed, her sincerity washing over the space between them. Gohan's blush deepened, the gravity of her words sinking in. It wasn't just about the gestures. It was about the connection they had formed, an unspoken bond that defied the expectations of the world around them. The room held a delicate tension, the raw emotions swirling between them as the night unfolded. Android 18's presence carried a warmth that surpassed the chill of the evening, and Gohan found himself submerged by the depth of their connection. In that quiet room, on a Thanksgiving night, Gohan and Android 18 shared a moment that transcended the ordinary. The gratitude they felt for each other wove an unspoken narrative, creating a chapter in their lives that would linger in their memories. Android 18 and Gohan continued to share the quiet moment, their hands still intertwined. The air was thick with unspoken tension, and as they looked into each other's eyes, a subtle shift occurred. The gravity of the connection between them pulled them closer. The air seemed to shimmer with anticipation as Android 18's icy blue eyes flickered down to Gohan's lips, a silent invitation lingering between them. Gohan, ever perceptive, recognized the unspoken desire and leaned in with a mixture of curiosity and nervous excitement. Their lips met in a gentle and tentative kiss, like the soft whisper of a breeze that rustles through the leaves, leaving an indelible mark in its wake. Gohan could feel the delicate touch of Android 18's lips, and for a moment, the world around them faded away, leaving only the intimate connection they were forging. As the kiss deepened, Gohan felt a swirl of emotions: gratitude for the bond that had formed between them, understanding for the complex circumstances that had brought them together, and a spark of something new, an unexpected flicker of emotions that neither of them had anticipated. Android 18, typically guarded and composed, allowed herself to be vulnerable in that moment. The kiss was a revelation, a bridge between two souls navigating the realms of connection. What happened next took the android slightly by surprise, but she was acceptant of it. Gohan slipped his tongue into her mouth, allowing a symphony of flavors that danced across the taste buds as the swapped saliva. A soft moan escaped Android 18 as she kissed him back, exploring his mouth with a sensation of sweetness blooming. Placing her free hand on the side of Gohan's face, she deepened the kiss even more. She wanted more. Being slightly aggressive, 18 pushed Gohan so his back was on the bed, and she immediately straddled him. Leaning close to his ear, she whispered, "Do you want me?" Without hesitation, Gohan replied with a whisper, "Yeah." She smiled at his reply and then kissed him passionately, her tongue probing into his mouth. She reached down and grabbed the bottom of his shirt and pulled it up and over his head. She then went for his belt buckle and undid it, unfastened his pants and slid them down his legs. She looked up at him with a smile as she saw his boxers. Gohan smiled back at her and nodded. She then pulled his boxers off and tossed them aside. She crawled up onto the bed and straddled him again, this time sliding the straps from her dress down her arm, revealing her beautiful perky breast. She leaned forward and kissed him again, gently biting his lower lip. She then kissed down his neck, stopping to nibble and suck on his nipples before continuing down his chest. He could feel her hot breath on his skin as she kissed and licked her way down to his waist. He felt her soft hand grab hold of his dick and he let out a small moan. She took the tip of his dick into her mouth and began sucking on it. Warm saliva coating Gohan's large dick as she bobbed her head back and forth while stroking it at the same time. Gohan moaned louder and tried to push himself deeper into her mouth. She continued to suck and tease his dick with her mouth and hands, not allowing him to come yet. He was getting close and she knew it. She stopped and transitioned herself so that straddled him again. She lowered herself down on top of him, taking his dick into her wet pussy. She started grinding against him, sliding his thick dick in and out of her pussy. Gohan wrapped his arms around her and held her tight as he thrust his hips upward. She leaned down and kissed him hard. Their tongues danced together and their bodies moved together in rhythm. Gohan's dick was now fully erect and he was close to coming. He couldn't take much more. His dick started to pulsate as he shot his white load inside of her. She kept grinding her hips against him and he could feel her body shuddering. She screamed out loud into the nape of his neck to muffle it as she orgasmed. Her juices coated his dick and he could feel her walls clenching tightly around him. She collapsed on top of him and they both panted heavily. They laid there for several minutes until she finally rolled off him. When they eventually pulled away, the room hung heavy with the residual energy of intense sex they just had. Gohan's dark eyes met Android 18's, and a shared smile played on their lips. The unspoken promise between them was sealed in that moment. A promise of understanding, acceptance, and the recognition that their journey, unexpected and unconventional, had taken a turn towards something deeper. Gohan wrapped his arms around Android 18 as she nuzzled into his soft muscles. She didn't want to leave. This was something she could get used to for the rest of her life. The room was bathed in the soft glow of the moon as Gohan and 18 lay together, the silence broken only by their quiet breaths. Gohan's voice, filled with a vulnerability he rarely showed, cut through the stillness. 18, he began, and she responded with a gentle, "Yes, Gohan. Please don't leave this time," he implored, his words carrying the weight of a plea. In that moment, as they held each other close, it felt like the tangled threads of their lives had found a common weave. The simplicity of his request revealed a longing for stability, a desire to keep the newfound warmth that had blossomed between them. It wasn't just about physical closeness. It was an emotional plea for continuity, a wish for a connection that went beyond the fleeting encounters they had shared. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the Sun household as Chi-Chi, once again, wobbled around with her pregnant belly, tidying up the house. Gohan's clothes lay scattered, prompting Chi-Chi to mutter about her son's lack of cleanliness. As she approached Gohan's room, laundry basket in hand, she expected the usual mess but froze at the sight before her. Gohan was in bed with a certain blonde, and the laundry basket slipped from her grasp with a thump. Stunned, a whirlwind of conflicting emotions paralyzed Chi-Chi, leaving her unsure of how to react. Gohan's eyes snapped open at the sound, realizing the impending storm that awaited him in the living room. His mother was standing there, her expression a mix of shock and horror. 18, too, had quickly pulled the blanket up to her chest, an attempt to retain some semblance of modesty. Chi-Chi, barely able to speak, managed to summon enough strength to deliver a stern command. "Gohan, living room now." With that, she stormed off, leaving Gohan and 18 to face the aftermath. In the room, 18 placed a soft kiss on Gohan's cheek before he rose, promising her he'd be right back. "I'll be here this time," she assured him with a lingering smile. Gohan, grinning nervously and dressed in haste, made his way to the impending confrontation, knowing he had to deal with an irate, pregnant Chi-Chi. Entering the living room, Gohan was met with a seething Chi-Chi, his father, Goku, observing the unfolding drama from the sofa. Goku, ever the casual observer, cut to the chase. "Is it not what it looks like this time around?" he questioned, prompting a raised eyebrow from Chi-Chi, who was now seething with rage, assuming this had happened before. "No, it's exactly what it looks like, Dad," Gohan admitted, a nervous chuckle escaping him. Chi-Chi's anger intensified, but Gohan continued, expressing himself sincerely. "I know I should have introduced you properly, but you're not an easy person to talk to, Mom. I'm an adult now, and I do care about her." Chi-Chi's rage softened, replaced by a more understanding look. Gohan's sincerity had its effect, and his father nodded in agreement. This is the Sun household. I'm sorry if I'm not approachable sometimes, Gohan, but we don't cut corners here. Do things the right way and we wouldn't be here. I would like to officially meet her if you don't mind, Chi-Chi said with a genuine smile. Gohan, slightly taken aback, nodded and bowed respectfully before heading back to his room. Goku, ever the jolly one, couldn't help but comment, "Wow, Chi-Chi, you handled that better than I thought." However, his optimism was short-lived as Chi-Chi turned her glare towards him. "Don't think you're getting off easy, mister, this time around. You should have told me the first time this happened. That's unacceptable, Goku," she scolded, holding him accountable for his lack of parenting awareness. Minutes later, Gohan emerged with Android 18, dressed in some of his old clothes, a fitting compromise. Chi-Chi, hands on her hips, awaited their appearance. Android 18 looked nervously unsure as Chi-Chi took a few steps forward, examining her from head to toe. Extending her hand, 18 introduced herself. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I'm 18. Chi-Chi, despite the situation, took 18's hand into both of hers, her gaze piercing through the blonde. "I don't know the details between you two, but my son has gone through a lot. I just want to see my baby happy. Can you make my Gohan happy?" The weight of Chi-Chi's question lingered, and both Gohan and 18 turned slightly red. "I want to say yes, ma'am, but I don't know. Everyone isn't perfect. I do know I'll give him my all," 18 replied with a softness in her eyes that conveyed genuine care for Gohan. Chi-Chi sighed, letting go of her hand, and smiled. "All right, Goku. Come on, we're going shopping." As both parents left to get ready, Gohan couldn't help but feel a mixture of relief and gratitude. Gohan wrapped his arms around 18, kissing her cheek. "I'm glad that went well," he said with a sigh of relief. Android 18, still feeling the warmth of the moment, inquired about their status. "So is this it? Are we together?" she asked, wanting clarity. "Yes, we're together," Gohan affirmed, laughter escaping him. Android 18 turned around to face him and smiled. "I have to go to Bulma's for the research we're doing. I don't know if you want to come back or we can go to my place tonight when I'm done," she said with a seductive grin. "I think your place would be optimal," Gohan said also with a grin. Android 18 had gone and got her clothing together that she was wearing the night prior and left. Gohan, now feeling at peace with himself, chose to retreat to the mountains for some solitary training, a ritual that brought him comfort and clarity. Deep space, Galaxy X06Q. In the vast emptiness of deep space, an enigmatic space shuttle drifted silently, its exterior adorned with a sleek, obsidian-like metal. The dim glow of distant galaxies cast an ethereal backdrop, enhancing the mystery of its presence. Within the shuttle, a platoon of warriors, clad in imposing black armor, kneeled in unison. At the center of this assemblage, a foreboding figure sat upon an ornate throne, his presence shrouded in shadows. The murmurs of the kneeling warriors ceased as one, Tynok, an elite in all-encompassing black armor, rose from his deferential position. His gaze, unwavering, met the obscured face of the ruler on the throne. "The Dragon Balls are located on planet Earth and planet Namek, my liege," Tynok reported with a salute, the dim lights reflecting off the polished surface of his armor. A deep, scruffy voice resonated throughout the shuttle, commanding attention. "Since they both have them, which planet has better resources?" The king's inquiry hung in the air, carrying a weight of anticipation. Tynok, maintaining his respectful stance, responded promptly, "That would be planet Earth, my liege. It has over triple the amount of resources than Namek." The king, still obscured in darkness, nodded imperceptibly. "Good, Tynok. Make sure the coordinates are designated for Earth." The name echoed through the chamber, signaling the king's acknowledgement of the elite warrior's report. Tynok bowed once more, acknowledging the command. "Yes, my liege." His voice carried a mix of loyalty and determination as he turned to fulfill the king's orders, his silhouette moving purposefully amidst the low hum of the ship's systems. As the shuttle continued its journey through the distant galaxies, the dark aesthetic of the vessel added an air of menace to its silent drift. The king's motives and appearance remained veiled in mystery, leaving the platoon of warriors to await further orders in the cold, metallic confines of their vessel. 3 months had passed since Chi-Chi accepted Gohan's relationship with Android 18. As Chi-Chi's due date approached, Gohan continued to split his time between checking in on his mom and staying at 18's place in West City. During this time, Gohan and 18 discovered the simple joys of being together. Exploring the city, sharing laughter, and cherishing quiet moments became integral parts of their relationship. West City's lively atmosphere added a vibrant backdrop to their love story. Gohan's visits to 18's place transformed it from a quiet space into a home filled with shared experiences. Their bond deepened, defying expectations. Days were spent in ordinary yet special activities, like meals and quiet evenings. Gohan, continuing his Saiyan training, found a hidden spot in West City for his sparring sessions. As their connection grew stronger, time seemed to adopt a different rhythm for Gohan and 18. Days and nights intertwined, marked by shared meals and dreams of the future. Back at her home, Chi-Chi embraced the reality that her son had found unexpected happiness. The prospect of becoming a grandmother brought a mix of feelings but promised a new chapter of joy. In moments of reflection, Chi-Chi smiled, reassured that Gohan was responsible and cared deeply for 18. The impending grandparenthood, though different from her expectations, felt right. She learned that happiness could manifest in unforeseen ways, and Gohan's choice brought genuine joy to their lives. Gohan and 18's relationship became a vibrant thread in the fabric of their days. The lights of West City mirrored the brightness of their unique connection. As Chi-Chi anticipated the arrival of baby Goten, she felt a sense of peace, realizing that love, no matter its form, could weave a strong family bond. Gohan and 18 were on the couch watching a movie. Her head was on his lap as he sat up. Ever since he had decided to move in, they couldn't keep their hands off of each other. She could feel the print of his dick through the gray sweatpants he was wearing against her. She immediately felt hot flashes as her pussy became wet. She couldn't take it anymore. Standing to her feet, she then got on her knees in front of Gohan. Gohan, keeping his eyes on her, knew what was going to happen. He slid his boxers and sweatpants down, revealing his large dick in front of her face. She smiled as she took it into her mouth. The sensation of his cock sliding in and out of her mouth made him groan. She kept sucking and licking his dick. He started to moan louder and louder. She loved hearing him moan. It turned her on so much more than she thought it would. She continued to suck his dick and he grabbed her hair. He pulled her off his dick. "Get on the couch," he said. She nodded and got onto the couch on all fours with her ass facing him. He quickly got behind her and put the tip of his dick at the entrance of her pussy, rubbing it against her wet slit until he finally pushed deep inside of her. She let out a loud moan. He started to thrust harder with each stroke going in and out of her, creating a rhythmic beat from her ass clapping against his upper thighs. He continued this for a few minutes until could feel himself getting closer to an orgasm. He didn't want this to end just yet, so he held it in. "Gohan, I'm gonna come soon," she cried out. He didn't care, he wanted to fuck her. She felt so good. Her tight, wet pussy gripped around his dick as he continued to go in and out of her. "Gohan, I'm coming," she screamed. He felt her pussy tighten around his dick as she climaxed, her legs shaking uncontrollably as he continued to drill into her. He felt his own orgasm coming. He shoved his dick deep inside of her as he came. He came hard inside of her. She felt him shoot his load deep inside of her. She loved the feeling of his warm cum inside of her. She felt his dick pulsate inside of her, tightening her pussy around him each time she felt a pulse squeezing every last drop out of him. Slowly pulling out of Android 18, he sat back down with his dick covered in her juices, breathing heavily. She looked over and smirked. "Are you okay?" Gohan gave her his signature goofy grin. "Yeah, that orgasm just took a lot out of me," he said as he gave a small yawn. 18 got up and went to the bathroom to get a warm, wet washcloth so her boyfriend could wipe himself off. "Thanks, babe," Gohan said as he took the washcloth from her and wiped himself off. "I'm gonna head to bed to take a nap. I have to leave Go and help Bulma in a bit." She kissed Gohan on the lips and with her icy blue eyes and smiled. Thank you for being you. Don't ever change. Kissing him one more time, she went to the room to lay down for a few. Gohan pulled his sweatpants back up and breathed deep as he continued to watch the movie that was playing. He really enjoyed his life here with 18, but something felt off. Maybe he was overthinking. Deep within the heart of the forest, a dense canopy of towering trees formed a natural sanctuary, their intertwined branches creating a mesh that filtered the sunlight into a dappled dance on the forest floor. The ground was carpeted with a lush layer of moss and fallen leaves, muffling any sound as if the very essence of the forest held its breath in anticipation. Amidst the tranquil surroundings, Piccolo, the Namekian warrior, stood surrounded by the ancient, towering trees. The air buzzed with an energy, an unmistakable presence of power. In an impressive display of Namekian technique, Piccolo had cloned himself into two identical counterparts, forming a trio of green-skinned fighters in the heart of the secluded woodland. The first clash echoed through the forest as Piccolo engaged his clones, each movement calculated, every strike delivering a symphony of martial prowess. The swift kicks and powerful punches resonated through the stillness, the intensity of the training leaving visible ripples in the air. The clones mirrored Piccolo's moves flawlessly, their coordination a testament to the Namekian's mastery over his own abilities. As the training session escalated, Piccolo seamlessly transitioned between offensive and defensive maneuvers. He executed intricate throws, leveraging his agility to outmaneuver his clones. Green energy crackled in the air as Namekian techniques were unleashed, creating flashes of light that illuminated the surroundings. Despite the apparent harmony, the combat reached a crescendo, pushing Piccolo to the brink of exhaustion. Sweat dripped from his brow as he skillfully dodged attacks from his relentless clones. The forest floor bore the marks of their struggle, the moss and leaves displaced by the dynamic dance of combat. Piccolo's clones closed in, their relentless assault leaving him with little room to breathe. In a moment of tactical brilliance, he strategically removed the weighted cloak that had draped over his shoulders, a symbolic gesture marking a shift in the intensity of the battle. The cloak descended to the ground with a heavy thud, creating a mini-crater as if the very weight of Piccolo's training now rested upon the forest floor. Freed from the constraint, Piccolo's movements became swifter, more fluid. He danced between his clones with newfound agility, countering their strikes with precision. The air hummed with revitalized energy as Piccolo, now unburdened, pushed himself beyond the limits he had faced moments ago. The forest, witness to the Namekian's relentless dedication to self-improvement, held its breath once more, the training session continuing in the depths of its ancient embrace. The echoes of punches, kicks, and techniques resonated through the woodland. After a few hours of Piccolo's rigorous training reached its conclusion, his clones, reflections of his own strength, seamlessly merged back into him. The air seemed to settle, and the once intense battlefield within the forest returned to a peaceful sanctuary, the only evidence of the training session being the displaced leaves and the slight breeze stirred by Piccolo's movements. A sense of accomplishment radiated from the Namekian warrior as he stood whole again, the echo of his exertions still lingering in the air. Breathing deeply, Piccolo relished the familiar feeling of his own power, the result of dedicated training that constantly pushed his limits. With heightened Namekian senses, Piccolo became aware of an unusual disturbance in the air. It wasn't the faint hum of a plane or the rhythmic thumping of a helicopter. Rather, it was the distinct, low-frequency rumble of engines, unmistakably belonging to some kind of spacecraft. His head tilted slightly, focusing on the distant sound as it permeated the stillness of the forest. The Namekian warrior, his cape fluttering in the breeze, ascended into the air above the towering trees, seeking an unobstructed view of the sky. At first glance, the skies seemed serene, devoid of any visible intruders. No planes, no helicopters, and not even a bird in sight. However, Piccolo's heightened senses, honed through years of training, picked up on subtle disturbances. Against the backdrop of the sky, something attempted to conceal itself, perhaps employing advanced technology to remain unnoticed. The edges of Piccolo's keen vision caught the faintest distortion, a ripple in the air that betrayed the presence of an object attempting to mask its existence. Despite his exceptional Namekian senses, Piccolo found himself unable to detect any traditional key signatures emanating from the concealed entity. This anomaly intrigued the warrior. It was a puzzle that defied the conventional understanding of energy signatures. A nameless unease settled over him as he pondered the nature of this elusive visitor, his gaze fixed on the concealed disturbance in the sky. The concealed ship's metallic doors slid open, revealing 50 soldiers clad in sleek black armor. Tynok, the elite warrior, emerged last. The soldiers formed a disciplined formation, awaiting orders. Piccolo, hidden in the shadows, observed with growing concern. "This isn't good," he muttered. He flew over cautiously, confronting the ominous group. "What business do you have on Earth?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing. Tynok, with a transparent scouter covering his face, approached Piccolo. The scouter scanned the Namekian, revealing a power level of 43 million. "You're pretty strong for a Namekian, but what are you doing here on Earth?" Tynok asked, sidestepping Piccolo's initial question. Piccolo, suppressing his true power level, retorted, "You should probably answer my question first." His tone grew more assertive. A smirk crept across Tynok's face. "Unfortunately for you, Namekian, I only answer to my liege." Piccolo, recognizing Tynok as the possible leader, observed no one else among the warriors. "If you plan on doing harm to this planet, I have no choice but to destroy you all here," Piccolo declared. Tynok raised an eyebrow, dismissing Piccolo's threat. "As if you could do anything of that sort, Namekian." In response, Piccolo erupted with a purple aura, powering up with a fierce roar. The numbers on Tynok's scouter rose before it exploded from the overload. Piccolo materialized right in front of Tynok, landing a powerful punch to his face. Tynok stumbled back, caught off guard, as Piccolo continued with a flurry of kicks and punches. "This Namekian, he's abnormally strong," Tynok thought. He managed to create some distance and powered up to match Piccolo's level. Piccolo, shocked by the sudden increase, realized Tynok was studying and copying his moves. The fight intensified, with both fighters trading blows and ki blasts. Piccolo noticed Tynok imitating his fighting style. "The longer this goes on, the more of a disadvantage I'll be at," Piccolo strategized. As the battle unfolded, the ship opened again, revealing a colossal figure in black armor with a red cape. The soldiers kneeled, and even Tynok stopped mid-combat to bow. Piccolo, sensing a demonic energy, shuddered in fear. The imposing figure, the king, commanded Piccolo to kneel. The sheer pressure sent Piccolo crashing to the ground, unable to resist. "My word is absolute, for I am king. Next time you raise your head to me, I'll cut it off." He sent the warning to Piccolo, yelling down at him. "Tynok, take control of the platoon and search this world for Dragon Balls. Kill anyone who opposes my authority. I'll deal with the Namekian." "Yes, my liege," Tynok replied, swiftly splitting the platoon into groups to search for the Dragon Balls. The king's red eyes locked onto Piccolo. "Let's have some fun," he declared menacingly. With Piccolo immobilized, the king approached him. "A Namekian resisting my command is a rare sight. Perhaps you'll prove entertaining." The king's voice resonated with a sinister edge. Piccolo struggled against the invisible force holding him down, realizing the gravity of the situation. The king, shrouded in malevolence, prepared to unleash his own dark power against the Namekian. Meanwhile, Tynok and his platoon dispersed across the planet, scouring for the Dragon Balls. The fate of Earth hung in the balance as the king's oppressive presence loomed over Piccolo, promising a confrontation of cosmic proportions. 3 months had passed since Chi-Chi accepted Gohan's relationship with Android 18. As Chi-Chi's due date approached, Gohan continued to split his time between checking in on his mom and staying at 18's place in West City. During this time, Gohan and 18 discovered the simple joys of being together. Exploring the city, sharing laughter, and cherishing quiet moments became integral parts of their relationship. West City's lively atmosphere added a vibrant backdrop to their love story. Gohan's visits to 18's place transformed it from a quiet space into a home filled with shared experiences. Their bond deepened, defying expectations. Days were spent in ordinary yet special activities, like meals and quiet evenings. Gohan, continuing his Saiyan training, found a hidden spot in West City for his sparring sessions. As their connection grew stronger, Time seemed to adopt a different rhythm for Gohan and 18. Days and nights intertwined, marked by shared meals and dreams of the future. Back at her home, Chi-Chi embraced the reality that her son had found unexpected happiness. The prospect of becoming a grandmother brought a mix of feelings but promised a new chapter of joy. In moments of reflection, Chi-Chi smiled, reassured that Gohan was responsible and cared deeply for 18. The impending grandparenthood, though different from her expectations, felt right. She learned that happiness could manifest in unforeseen ways, and Gohan's choice brought genuine joy to their lives. Gohan and 18's relationship became a vibrant thread in the fabric of their days. The lights of West City mirrored the brightness of their unique connection. As Chi-Chi anticipated the arrival of baby Goten, she felt a sense of peace, realizing that love, no matter its form, could weave a strong family bond. Gohan and 18 were on the couch watching a movie. Her head was on his lap as he sat up. Ever since he had decided to move in, they couldn't keep their hands off of each other. She could feel the print of his dick through the gray sweatpants he was wearing against her. She immediately felt hot flashes as her pussy became wet. She couldn't take it anymore. Standing to her feet, she then got on her knees in front of Gohan. Gohan, keeping his eyes on her, knew what was going to happen. He slid his boxers and sweatpants down, revealing his large dick in front of her face. She smiled as she took it into her mouth. The sensation of his cock sliding in and out of her mouth made him groan. She kept sucking and licking his dick. He started to moan louder and louder. She loved hearing him moan. It turned her on so much more than she thought it would. She continued to suck his dick and he grabbed her hair. He pulled her off his dick. "Get on the couch," he said. She nodded and got onto the couch on all fours with her ass facing him. He quickly got behind her and put the tip of his dick at the entrance of her pussy, rubbing it against her wet slit until he finally pushed deep inside of her. She let out a loud moan. He started to thrust harder with each stroke going in and out of her, creating a rhythmic beat from her ass clapping against his upper thighs. He continued this for a few minutes until could feel himself getting closer to an orgasm. He didn't want this to end just yet, so he held it in. "Gohan, I'm gonna come soon," she cried out. He didn't care, he wanted to fuck her. She felt so good. Her tight, wet pussy gripped around his dick as he continued to go in and out of her. "Gohan, I'm coming," she screamed. He felt her pussy tighten around his dick as she climaxed, her legs shaking uncontrollably as he continued to drill into her. He felt his own orgasm coming. He shoved his dick deep inside of her as he came. He came hard inside of her. She felt him shoot his load deep inside of her. She loved the feeling of his warm come inside of her. She felt his dick pulsate inside of her, tightening her pussy around him each time she felt a pulse squeezing every last drop out of him. Slowly pulling out of Android 18, he sat back down with his dick covered in her juices, breathing heavily. She looked over and smirked. "Are you okay?" Gohan gave her his signature goofy grin. "Yeah, that orgasm just took a lot out of me," he said as he gave a small yawn. 18 got up and went to the bathroom to get a warm, wet washcloth so her boyfriend could wipe himself off. "Thanks, babe," Gohan said as he took the washcloth from her and wiped himself off. "I'm gonna head to bed to take a nap. I have to leave Go and help Bulma in a bit." She kissed Gohan on the lips and with her icy blue eyes and smiled. "Thank you for being you. Don't ever change." Kissing him one more time, she went to the room to lay down for a few. Gohan pulled his sweatpants back up and breathed deep as he continued to watch the movie that was playing. He really enjoyed his life here with 18, but something felt off. Maybe he was overthinking. Deep within the heart of the forest, a dense canopy of towering trees formed a natural sanctuary, their intertwined branches creating a mesh that filtered the sunlight into a dappled dance on the forest floor. The ground was carpeted with a lush layer of moss and fallen leaves, muffling any sound as if the very essence of the forest held its breath in anticipation. Amidst the tranquil surroundings, Piccolo, the Namekian warrior, stood surrounded by the ancient, towering trees. The air buzzed with an energy, an unmistakable presence of power. In an impressive display of Namekian technique, Piccolo had cloned himself into two identical counterparts, forming a trio of green-skinned fighters in the heart of the secluded woodland. The first clash echoed through the forest as Piccolo engaged his clones, each movement calculated, every strike delivering a symphony of martial prowess. The swift kicks and powerful punches resonated through the stillness, the intensity of the training leaving visible ripples in the air. The clones mirrored Piccolo's moves flawlessly, their coordination a testament to the Namekian's mastery over his own abilities. As the training session escalated, Piccolo seamlessly transitioned between offensive and defensive maneuvers. He executed intricate throws, leveraging his agility to outmaneuver his clones. Green energy crackled in the air as Namekian techniques were unleashed, creating flashes of light that illuminated the surroundings. Despite the apparent harmony, the combat reached a crescendo, pushing Piccolo to the brink of exhaustion. Sweat dripped from his brow as he skillfully dodged attacks from his relentless clones. The forest floor bore the marks of their struggle, the moss and leaves displaced by the dynamic dance of combat. Piccolo's clones closed in, their relentless assault leaving him with little room to breathe. In a moment of tactical brilliance, he strategically removed the weighted cloak that had draped over his shoulders, a symbolic gesture marking a shift in the intensity of the battle. The cloak descended to the ground with a heavy thud, creating a mini-crater as if the very weight of Piccolo's training now rested upon the forest floor. Freed from the constraint, Piccolo's movements became swifter, more fluid. He danced between his clones with newfound agility, countering their strikes with precision. The air hummed with revitalized energy as Piccolo, now unburdened, pushed himself beyond the limits he had faced moments ago. The forest, witness to the Namekian's relentless dedication to self-improvement, held its breath once more, the training session continuing in the depths of its ancient embrace. The echoes of punches, kicks, and techniques resonated through the woodland. After a few hours of Piccolo's rigorous training reached its conclusion, his clones, reflections of his own strength, seamlessly merged back into him. The air seemed to settle, and the once intense battlefield within the forest returned to a peaceful sanctuary, the only evidence of the training session being the displaced leaves and the slight breeze stirred by Piccolo's movements. A sense of accomplishment radiated from the Namekian warrior as he stood whole again, the echo of his exertions still lingering in the air. Breathing deeply, Piccolo relished the familiar feeling of his own power, the result of dedicated training that constantly pushed his limits. With heightened Namekian senses, Piccolo became aware of an unusual disturbance in the air. It wasn't the faint hum of a plane or the rhythmic thumping of a helicopter. Rather, it was the distinct, low-frequency rumble of engines, unmistakably belonging to some kind of spacecraft. His head tilted slightly, focusing on the distant sound as it permeated the stillness of the forest. The Namekian warrior, his cape fluttering in the breeze, ascended into the air above the towering trees, seeking an unobstructed view of the sky. At first glance, the skies seemed serene, devoid of any visible intruders. No planes, no helicopters, and not even a bird in sight. However, Piccolo's heightened senses, honed through years of training, picked up on subtle disturbances. Against the backdrop of the sky, something attempted to conceal itself, perhaps employing advanced technology to remain unnoticed. The edges of Piccolo's keen vision caught the faintest distortion, a ripple in the air that betrayed the presence of an object attempting to mask its existence. Despite his exceptional Namekian senses, Piccolo found himself unable to detect any traditional key signatures emanating from the concealed entity. This anomaly intrigued the warrior. It was a puzzle that defied the conventional understanding of energy signatures. A nameless unease settled over him as he pondered the nature of this elusive visitor, his gaze fixed on the concealed disturbance in the sky. The concealed ship's metallic doors slid open, revealing 50 soldiers clad in sleek black armor. Tynok, the elite warrior, emerged last. The soldiers formed a disciplined formation, awaiting orders. Piccolo, hidden in the shadows, observed with growing concern. "This isn't good," he muttered. He flew over cautiously, confronting the ominous group. "What business do you have on Earth?" he demanded, his eyes narrowing. Tynok, with a transparent scouter covering his face, approached Piccolo. The scouter scanned the Namekian, revealing a power level of 43 million. "You're pretty strong for a Namekian, but what are you doing here on Earth?" Tynok asked, sidestepping Piccolo's initial question. Piccolo, suppressing his true power level, retorted, "You should probably answer my question first." His tone grew more assertive. A smirk crept across Tynoc's face. Unfortunately for you, Namekian, I only answer to my liege. Piccolo, recognizing Tynoc as the possible leader, observed no one else among the warriors. If you plan on doing harm to this planet, I have no choice but to destroy you all here, Piccolo declared. Tynoc raised an eyebrow, dismissing Piccolo's threat. As if you could do anything of that sort, Namekian. In response, Piccolo erupted with a purple aura, powering up with a fierce roar. The numbers on Tynoc's scouter rose before it exploded from the overload. Piccolo materialized right in front of Tynoc, landing a powerful punch to his face. Tynoc stumbled back, caught off guard, as Piccolo continued with a flurry of kicks and punches. This Namekian, he's abnormally strong, Tynoc thought. He managed to create some distance and powered up to match Piccolo's level. Piccolo, shocked by the sudden increase, realized Tynoc was studying and copying his moves. The fight intensified, with both fighters trading blows and ki blasts. Piccolo noticed Tynoc imitating his fighting style. The longer this goes on, the more of a disadvantage I'll be at, Piccolo strategized. As the battle unfolded, the ship opened again, revealing a colossal figure in black armor with a red cape. The soldiers kneeled, and even Tynoc stopped mid-combat to bow. Piccolo, sensing a demonic energy, shuddered in fear. The imposing figure, the king, commanded Piccolo to kneel. The sheer pressure sent Piccolo crashing to the ground, unable to resist. My word is absolute, for I am king. Next time you raise your head to me, I'll cut it off. He sent the warning to Piccolo, yelling down at him. Tynoc, take control of the platoon and search this world for Dragon Balls. Kill anyone who opposes my authority. I'll deal with the Namekian. Yes, my liege, Tynoc replied, swiftly splitting the platoon into groups to search for the Dragon Balls. The king's red eyes locked onto Piccolo. Let's have some fun, he declared menacingly. With Piccolo immobilized, the king approached him. A Namekian resisting my command is a rare sight. Perhaps you'll prove entertaining. The king's voice resonated with a sinister edge. Piccolo struggled against the invisible force holding him down, realizing the gravity of the situation. The king, shrouded in malevolence, prepared to unleash his own dark power against the Namekian. Meanwhile, Tynoc and his platoon dispersed across the planet, scouring for the Dragon Balls. The fate of Earth hung in the balance as the king's oppressive presence loomed over Piccolo, promising a confrontation of cosmic proportions. Piccolo, still held captive by the king's overwhelming force, struggled to break free. The king observed him with a malevolent grin, reveling in the Namekian's helplessness. You might be strong, but your resistance is futile. I control everything in my domain. The king's voice echoed ominously. As Piccolo strained against the unseen restraint, the king extended his hand, generating dark energy that surrounded Piccolo. The Namekian felt an excruciating force compressing him. Let me show you the true power of a ruler, the king declared sadistically. In a flash, the king released the dark energy, sending Piccolo hurtling through the air. He crashed into the ground, creating a small crater. The king descended gracefully, landing near Piccolo. Pathetic. I expected more from someone who dared to defy me. Piccolo, bruised and battered, struggled to stand. The king circled him, a predator toying with its prey. You're fortunate. I could crush you like an insect, but I have a better idea. The king raised his hand, summoning a dark energy sphere that hovered menacingly in the palm of his hand. Back at Android 18's house in West City, Gohan sensed the disturbance. His instincts urged him to intervene. 18 was still asleep, so he decided to change into his purple GI and flew towards the epicenter of the ominous energy. His thoughts raced, contemplating the dire situation unfolding on Earth. Back to the confrontation, the king launched the dark energy sphere towards Piccolo, enveloping him in a maelstrom of power. Piccolo gritted his teeth, resisting the overwhelming force. The king reveled in the spectacle, savoring every moment of Piccolo's torment. Just as the Namekian seemed on the brink of collapse, a surge of energy erupted from within him. The king's eyes widened in surprise. Piccolo, tapping into his reserves, managed to repel the dark energy, creating a shockwave that sent the king staggering back. The tables turned as Piccolo, fueled by newfound determination, rose to his feet. He spat out saliva mixed with his purple blood from his mouth. The king, now intrigued, acknowledged the Namekian's resilience. "You're more interesting than I anticipated. Let's see how you handle this." The king unleashed a barrage of dark energy blasts, testing Piccolo's defenses. Piccolo, his instincts heightened, weaved through the onslaught. The battlefield became a dance of destruction, with each energy blast narrowly missing its mark. The king, impressed by Piccolo's agility, intensified his assault. The Namekian, however, showcased his mastery of combat, deflecting and evading the relentless barrage. In the midst of the chaotic battle, Gohan arrived at the scene, witnessing the clash between Piccolo and the mysterious king. Determination burned in his eyes as he prepared to join the fight with his teacher and defend his home planet against this formidable adversary. Meanwhile, Tynok and his platoon, following the king's orders, scoured the planet for the Dragon Balls. One group arrived at Capsule Corp, where Bulma had stored one of the magical orbs. Tynok, sensing the Dragon Ball's energy, led the assault on the corporation. Bulma, unaware of the impending threat, tinkered with her latest invention when Tynok and his soldiers descended upon Capsule Corporation. The elite warrior, flanked by his platoon, approached Bulma with a sinister grin. "Hand over the Dragon Ball, Earthling, or face the consequences." Bulma, never one to back down, retorted, "Who do you think you are, storming into my place like this?" She reached for her communicator to alert the Z-Fighters. At that moment, Vegeta, who had been training nearby, sensed the disturbance. A scowl etched across his face as he powered up and rocketed towards Capsule Corporation. His thoughts swirled with irritation at the audacity of the invaders. Tynok, unfazed by Bulma's defiance, raised his hand, summoning dark energy to intimidate her. "You have no idea what you're dealing with, Earthling. Hand over the Dragon Ball, or your fate will be sealed." As Tynok closed in, ready to enforce his threat, Vegeta descended with explosive force, the ground quaking beneath him. "You dare threaten what's mine? I'll have your heads." His voice echoed with authority, challenging Tynok and his soldiers. The elite warrior turned to face Vegeta, a sly grin forming on his face. "A scion? This should be entertaining." In a blur of motion, Vegeta and Tynok clashed, the air crackling with energy and shattering the windows of the building. Vegeta, fueled by Saiyan pride, unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks. Tynok, a skilled warrior, matched Vegeta's blows with calculated precision. The battlefield became a spectacle of raw power and skill. Vegeta, driven by his Saiyan instincts, pushed Tynok to the limit. The elite warrior, undeterred, showcased his adaptability, countering Vegeta's attacks with uncanny efficiency. As the fight raged on, Vegeta felt a surge of frustration. Tynok, seemingly one step ahead, adapted to every move. "Is this the best you've got, Saiyan?" Tynok taunted. As they continued to trade blows, the fight eventually ended up in the air out of the Capsule Corp building. Vegeta, refusing to be outdone, powered up to Super Saiyan, golden energy enveloping him. The air sparked with electricity as the Saiyan Prince unleashed a barrage of energy blasts. Tynok, caught off guard by Vegeta's transformation, struggled to keep up with the intensified assault. The clash between Vegeta and Tynok intensified, both warriors pushing their limits. Capsule Corp, caught in the crossfire, endured. Vegeta's determination reached its peak as he faced off against the formidable Tynok. He knew he couldn't prolong this fight. With a primal scream, the Saiyan Prince unleashed the full might of his power, gathering energy for his signature move. Final! The air became dense with ki energy, flash, as Vegeta's final flash tore through the battlefield. An indomitable wave of energy colliding with Tynok's body. The explosion of light illuminated the surroundings, leaving behind a lingering echo of victory. With Tynok defeated, Vegeta wasted no time. His eyes shifted toward the ongoing battle between Gohan, Piccolo, and whoever they were fighting. The Super Saiyan Prince streaked across the sky, a comet of golden energy, leaving a trail of determination in his wake. On the battlefield, Gohan and Piccolo continued their relentless assault against the king. However, the tyrant, recognizing the threat Gohan posed, shifted his focus. With a surge of dark energy, the king transformed, a menacing aura enveloping him. Gohan, sensing the enemy's power surge, ascended to Super Saiyan 2, his power surging to new heights as lightning flickered around him. The clash between Gohan and the king became a spectacle of raw power. Punches and kicks blurred the lines between attacker and defender. The battlefield echoed with the clash of energy and the primal roars of warriors locked in a struggle for dominance. The king, employing strategic pressure attacks, momentarily incapacitated Piccolo, creating an opening to engage Gohan alone. Gohan, however, proved resilient, countering each assault with unwavering resolve. Amidst the chaos, Goku found himself unable to join the battle. Chi-Chi, in labor at their home, pushed through the excruciating pain with the support of her father, the Ox King. Goku, torn between his duty as a father and a warrior, remained by Chi-Chi's side, offering words of encouragement as the labor intensified. With each push, Chi-Chi summoned every ounce of strength within her. The Ox King, proud and supportive, cheered her on. In the culmination of effort, a cry pierced the air as a baby identical to Goku emerged into the world. Goku, cutting the umbilical cord with a gentle smile, witnessed the miracle of childbirth. As Chi-Chi cradled their newborn, she declared, "Let's name him Goten." Back on the battlefield, Vegeta arrived to find an unconscious Piccolo and Gohan struggling against the king's overwhelming power. The king, sensing victory within his grasp, unleashed a sinister laugh. In the backdrop, the sky darkened as Shenron materialized, a harbinger of unforeseen consequences. Vegeta and Gohan, unaware of the impending wish, stood resolute against the looming threat. As Shenron's voice echoed through the air, Vegeta and Gohan exchanged uneasy glances. The king, a triumphant smirk on his face, reveled in the realization that his plans were reaching fruition. The ominous words, "Your wish has been granted. Make another wish," vibrated through the battlefield, casting a shadow over the Z fighters' hopes for victory. As the battlefield remained in turmoil, a sudden gust of wind heralded the arrival of three familiar faces: Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien. The Z fighters, battered but not beaten, looked at their comrades in astonishment. Krillin, with a mischievous grin, stepped forward. "Hey guys, looks like we're fashionably late to the party." Yamcha added with a smirk, "Hope we didn't miss all the fun." Tien, ever the stoic warrior, nodded in agreement. "We're here to join the fray. Mind if we crash the party?" Vegeta, still scanning the battlefield with uncertainty, scoffed at their nonchalant entrance. "Just don't get in my way." Krillin chuckled. "Don't worry, Vegeta. We've got this. Now, Shenron, we wish." Before Krillin could finish, Yamcha interrupted with a grin. "Wait, we need to make this wish count. Like, I wish for the ability to grow hair." Shenron, unfazed by the absurdity of the wish, granted it without hesitation. The trio suddenly found themselves adorned with luscious locks, their heads transformed into a cascade of hair. Krillin touched his newfound mane in disbelief, while Yamcha and Tien exchanged amused glances. It had been a while since Yamcha had long hair and Tien and Krillin had never had hair before. Vegeta, who had been observing the spectacle, raised an eyebrow. "Hair? That's the wish you wasted." Krillin shrugged. "Why not? It's not every day you get the chance to have a full head of hair." Yamcha chimed in with a laugh. "Exactly. Now let's get back to business. We're here to help, after all." Tien, adopting a serious expression, added, "We may not have Saiyan strength, but we've got our own tricks up our sleeves." With the unexpected wish granted, the trio joined forces with the remaining Z fighters to face the remnants of the alien army. Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien showcased their newly acquired hair while engaging the enemy forces. Krillin, demonstrating his unmatched speed, darted around opponents with hair flowing behind him. "Who knew having hair could make me even faster?" Yamcha, reveling in his newfound locks, delivered precise strikes. "You guys should have wished for this too. It's like having a superpower." Tien, utilizing his unique techniques, engaged multiple foes simultaneously. Hair or not, we're here to protect Earth. Let's show them what we've got. Vegeta, despite his initial skepticism, observed the trio holding their own in battle against the henchmen. They're surprisingly useful, but what was that first wish those black armored freaks made? As the skirmish continued, Vegeta couldn't shake the feeling that the mysterious wish held a key to understanding what was going to happen in the very soon future. The battlefield echoed with the clash of warriors, each one determined to protect the planet, even if it meant fighting with a head full of hair. Deep in the recesses of the cosmos, there exists a realm shrouded in darkness, where the stars burn with a cold, eerie light, and the very fabric of reality seems to twist and warp. It is here, amidst the shadows of a forgotten galaxy, that the tale of the king begins. Born into a world ravaged by war and strife, the king's early years were marked by hardship and tragedy. His parents, humble farmers struggling to eke out a living in the harsh landscape of their homeworld, were mercilessly cut down before his very eyes, victims of a brutal raid by marauding warlords. Left orphaned and alone, the young king was cast into the depths of despair, his innocence shattered by the cruel hand of fate. Taken captive by the raiders who had slaughtered his family, he was thrust into a life of servitude and suffering, condemned to toil away in the darkness of the warlord's fortress. For years, the king endured the horrors of slavery, his spirit broken and his hope all but extinguished. He witnessed unspeakable atrocities, subjected to the whims of his cruel overlords and forced to witness the suffering of his fellow captives. But amidst the darkness, a flicker of something primal began to stir within him, a latent power waiting to be unleashed. As the king entered his teenage years, a profound transformation overtook him. In a moment of intense anguish and despair, his latent abilities awakened, flooding through him like a tidal wave of dark energy. With a primal scream, he unleashed the full force of his newfound power, laying waste to his captors with a terrifying display of strength and ferocity. From the ashes of his former life, the king emerged reborn, a creature of darkness and vengeance. He slaughtered his tormentors without mercy, his mind consumed by a burning desire for retribution. With each life he took, he felt the weight of his suffering lift ever so slightly, replaced by a cold, unyielding resolve to carve out his own destiny. But the scars of his past never truly healed, haunting him like specters in the night. Beneath the veneer of his newfound power lay a wounded soul, a boy who had lost everything and gained nothing in return. As he gazed upon the shattered ruins of his homeland, a sense of bitter sorrow consumed him, a reminder of the price he had paid for his freedom. Driven by an insatiable thirst for power and a relentless desire for vengeance, the king embarked on a quest to conquer the stars themselves, determined to forge a new empire from the ashes of his past. With each world he conquered, his legend grew, his name whispered in fear and reverence by those who dared to oppose him. King. The king's power surged as he unleashed the darkness within him, a palpable aura of malevolence enveloping his form. Gohan, sensing the imminent threat, focused his energy and unleashed a powerful Kamehameha. The intense blast collided with the shroud of darkness surrounding the king, but to Gohan's astonishment, the darkness seemed to absorb the energy, dispersing it in all directions with red hues seething from within. Before Gohan could react, the king surged forward with incredible speed, closing the distance between them in an instant. With a swift, powerful punch, he struck Gohan squarely in the abdomen, the force of the blow sending the young scion hurtling through the air like a ragdoll. Gohan's body arched in agony as he crashed to the ground, the impact leaving him momentarily stunned. As Gohan lay sprawled on the ground unconscious, gasping for breath, the king cast a menacing glare at the other Z warriors, his voice echoing with authority as he issued his ultimatum. His words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of his power and the threat of further violence. You all can either kneel before me and pledge your allegiance to your king or end up like that boy. The king's raspy voice echoed down to them. Me? Kneel before you? I am the prince of all Saiyans. Vegeta, ever defiant, refused to bow to the king's demands. With a fierce cry, he ignited his golden aura, the energy swirling around him like a tempest as he launched himself at the king with all the fury of a warrior prince. The ground trembled beneath Vegeta's feet as he rocketed towards his adversary, a small crater forming beneath him as he unleashed his full power. The clash between Vegeta and the king was nothing short of explosive. Their blows reverberated across the battlefield, the sheer force of their clash sending shockwaves rippling through the air. Each punch and kick was delivered with deadly precision, the combatants locked in a fierce struggle for dominance. Despite Vegeta's formidable strength, the king proved to be a formidable opponent. His dark aura surged with power as he met Vegeta blow for blow, his movements fluid and precise as he countered each of the Saiyan Prince's attacks with ruthless efficiency. But Vegeta, fueled by his pride and determination, refused to back down. With a primal roar, he unleashed a devastating barrage of energy blasts, each one crashing against the king's defenses with explosive force. The intensity of his assault was unmatched, the sheer ferocity of his attacks pushing the king to his limits. As the battle raged on, the ground trembled beneath their feet, the very air crackling with the energy of their clash. Both warriors fought with all the strength and skill at their disposal, their movements a blur of motion as they sought to gain the upper hand. Piccolo was just now getting up and looked to see Vegeta was now engaging with the Shroud of Darkness. The Namekian looked around to see Gohan unconscious. Krillin had flew over to the son of Goku checking on him. Out of the blue, Goku appeared next to Krillin with 2 fingers on his forehead. Goku! He was excited to see his best friend of many years. Hey Krillin! Looking down to see his son in bad condition, his eyes turned serious as he looked up to see the threat fighting with Vegeta. How's Gohan doing? He's not too good, Goku. But I only brought a few of these, Krillin said as he held up a brown bag of senzu beans. Take care of Gohan for me. Goku floated upwards to be on the same level as the threat and Vegeta. Tightening his fists, he remembered when Gohan was born. He held the Saiyan baby in his arms as his tail moved on its own. A white aura now enveloped the Saiyan warrior. Gohan was just a toddler when he introduced him to everyone for the first time. The once white aura was now a golden color identical of his hair, and his once brown eyes were turquoise. He remembered being in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber training with his son and genuinely getting to know his son in and out, and seeing him grow into a fine young man before his very eyes. Now slightly hunched over, Goku began to yell. An energy that hadn't been felt before by the king made him kick Vegeta to the ground and look over at Goku. So there are more capable fighters on this planet? The king smirked behind the darkness. Goku now standing there with electricity crackling around him and his long golden hair flowed in the wind. The other Z warriors hadn't seen this form before and was surprised to see this. Goku dashed at the adversary and began his relentless onslaught. Goku's aura blazed with an intensity that seemed to pierce through the darkness shrouding the king. With each blow, he unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks, his movements fluid and precise. The king, caught off guard by Goku's sudden surge in power, struggled to keep up, his defenses faltering under the onslaught of the Saiyan warrior. The air crackled with energy as Goku pressed his advantage, his fists hammering against the king's defenses with relentless force. Despite the overwhelming power of his opponent, the king refused to yield, his dark aura pulsating with malevolent energy as he fought to regain the upper hand. But Goku, fueled by a fierce determination to protect his loved ones, refused to back down. With a primal roar, he unleashed a devastating barrage of energy blasts, each one crashing against the king's defenses with explosive force. The sheer intensity of the assault sent shockwaves rippling through the battlefield, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. As the battle raged on, Goku's movements became more fluid and precise, his attacks honed to perfection by years of rigorous training and discipline. With each strike, he sought out weaknesses in the king's defenses, exploiting them with ruthless efficiency. But the king, driven by a deep-seated desire for power and control, refused to be outmatched. With a roar of defiance, he unleashed a wave of dark energy, sending Goku reeling backwards with a force that threatened to shatter bone. But the Saiyan warrior refused to falter, his resolve unshakable as he pressed forward with renewed determination. With a sudden burst of speed, Goku closed the distance between them in the blink of an eye, his fists a blur as he unleashed a devastating barrage of blows. The king, caught off guard by Goku's sudden burst of speed, struggled to defend himself against the onslaught. his dark aura flickering as it strained to keep up with the Scion's relentless assault. But just as Goku seemed poised to deliver the finishing blow, the king unleashed a powerful counterattack, his dark aura surging with renewed intensity as he unleashed a barrage of energy blasts that sent Goku crashing to the ground below. The Scion warrior, battered and bruised, struggled to rise to his feet as the king loomed over him, his eyes gleaming with triumph. With a defiant roar, Goku summoned the last of his strength, his aura flaring with renewed intensity as he launched himself at the king with all the force he could muster. The two warriors clashed with a deafening roar, their blows echoing across the battlefield as they fought with all the fury and determination of two titans locked in mortal combat. But just as victory seemed within his grasp, the king unleashed a devastating final attack, his dark aura surging with power as he unleashed a blast of energy that engulfed Goku in a blinding flash of light. With a cry of anguish, the Scion warrior was sent hurtling backwards, his body battered and broken as he crashed to the ground below. Krillin had given Gohan a senzu-bean. He immediately had woken up and was now looking at his father fight. Regretting not going all out from the start, he wouldn't have ended up in this situation and his father wouldn't have had to take over. Damn it! Goku lay in a massive crater, his body battered and broken from the brutal onslaught unleashed by the king. His Super Saiyan 3 form had been shattered, leaving him vulnerable and defenseless in his base state. Gohan rushed to his father's side, his heart pounding with fear and anger as he beheld the sight of his fallen father. "Dad!" Gohan cried out, his voice filled with desperation. He gently shook Goku's limp form, but there was no response. The king's power had proven to be too much for even Goku to handle. Gohan's fists clenched with determination as he rose to his feet, his muscles tensing with newfound resolve. In a burst of golden energy, he transformed into his Super Saiyan 3 form, his hair flowing wildly around him as he prepared to face the king head-on. The king sneered at Gohan's transformation, his eyes narrowing with disdain. "You think you can defeat me, boy?" he scoffed, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You may have unlocked greater power, but it will avail you not against my might." But to the king's surprise, Gohan proved to be a formidable opponent, his attacks swift and powerful as he unleashed a barrage of blows against his adversary. With each strike, he pushed himself to his limits, determined to protect his father and defeat the king once and for all. As the intense battle between Gohan and the king reached its climax, a foreboding darkness began to descend upon the battlefield. At first, the Z warriors attributed it to the thick clouds of dust and debris kicked up by their ferocious combat. But soon they realized that something far more sinister was afoot. High above them, the Makio star loomed ominously in the sky, its massive form casting a shadow that spread across the land like a dark shroud. As it moved inexorably closer to the sun, its sheer size and gravitational pull began to obscure the light, plunging the battlefield into an eerie twilight. Gohan, Goku, and Krillin looked up in disbelief as they beheld the sight of the Makio star eclipsing the sun, its dark silhouette blotting out the once bright orb of light. The air grew cold and still, and an unsettling feeling settled over them as they realized the full extent of the danger they faced. "It's the Makio star," Goku muttered grimly, his eyes narrowing with concern. "I've seen it before, back when Garlic Jr. tried to use its power to conquer the Earth." Gohan's heart sank as he recalled the events of that fateful day, when he and his friends had faced off against the vengeful demon and his army of minions. The memory of their struggle served as a stark reminder of the threat posed by the Makio star and the dark forces it could unleash. But this time, the danger was even greater, as the king had tapped into the star's power to fuel his own dark ambitions. With each passing moment, the Makio star grew stronger, its malevolent energy feeding into the king's already overbearing strength. However, despite Gohan's best efforts, the king's power seemed to be inexhaustible, his dark energy swirling around him like a cloak of shadows. With a sinister grin, he began to absorb energy from the Makio itself, his power growing exponentially with each passing moment. Gohan gritted his teeth in frustration as he felt his attacks growing weaker against the king's overwhelming strength. He knew that he needed to find a way to turn the tide of battle, or risk being overwhelmed by his opponent's dark powers. It was then that Goku rose to his feet once more, his eyes blazing with determination as he transformed into his Super Saiyan 2 form. Standing by his son's side, the two warriors faced off against the king, their resolve unshakable as they prepared to unleash their full power against their foe. "Are you ready, Gohan?" Goku asked, his voice calm but determined. Gohan nodded, his eyes shining with determination as they both assumed their fighting stances. With blinding speed, Goku and Gohan launched themselves at the king, their fists wreathed in crackling energy as they unleashed a devastating flurry of blows. The force of their combined assault sent shockwaves rippling through the air, threatening to tear the very fabric of reality apart. But even as they fought with all their might, the king proved to be a strong adversary, his dark powers allowing him to withstand even the most powerful of attacks. With each blow, he seemed to grow stronger, his dark aura pulsing with malevolent energy. The king, his dark form shrouded in an aura of malevolent energy, met their challenge head-on, his crimson eyes glittering with malice. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashed a barrage of dark energy blasts, each one crackling with destructive power. Goku and Gohan dodged and weaved through the onslaught, their movements fluid and precise as they closed the distance between themselves and their adversary. With a roar of defiance, Goku unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks, each strike aimed with pinpoint accuracy at the king's vulnerable points. Gohan followed suit, his own attacks blending seamlessly with his father's as they launched a coordinated assault on the king's defenses. Despite the overwhelming power of their combined onslaught, the king proved to be a formidable opponent, his dark energy shielding him from their blows. With a snarl of frustration, Goku powered up to Super Saiyan 3, his golden hair lengthening and his power surging to new heights. Gohan followed suit, his own energy erupting in a brilliant display of light as he powered up. Together, father and son unleashed a devastating barrage of energy attacks, each one more powerful than the last. The ground trembled beneath their feet as their combined might shook the very fabric of reality, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. As the battle raged on, Piccolo watched from the sidelines, his mind racing as he sought to find a way to turn the tide of battle. And then, with a sudden burst of insight, he realized the true source of the king's power. "The Makio Star!" Piccolo exclaimed, his voice filled with urgency. "He's absorbing energy from the Makio Star to increase his power." Realizing the gravity of the situation, Piccolo knew that they had to act fast if they hoped to stand a chance against the king. With a grim determination, he focused all his energy into one final attack, unleashing a devastating blast that engulfed the planet in a blinding explosion of light. The king's eyes widened in disbelief as he felt the ground beneath him tremble, his carefully laid plans crumbling to dust before his eyes. With a furious roar, he unleashed his full power in a desperate attempt to counter Piccolo's attack, but it was too late. As his demon explosive wave consumed everything in its path, Goku, Gohan, and the rest of the Z warriors braced themselves for the inevitable. And then, in a blinding flash of light, the planet was torn asunder, leaving behind nothing but a vast expanse of empty space revealing the sun again. As the remnants of the Makio Star's energy swirled around the battlefield, the king's desperation became palpable. As a last-ditch effort in order to become the ultimate being, he began to absorb all the leftover energy before it dissipated. His once imposing figure now appeared twisted and distorted, veins pulsating with the strain of absorbing the chaotic energy. Despite the clogging of his energy ducts, the king's power continued to surge, threatening to engulf him in a cataclysmic explosion. Goku's gaze softened as he turned to Gohan, a bittersweet smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "Take care of your mother and little brother for me," he said, his voice tinged with both reassurance and regret. Gohan's confusion turned to alarm as he watched his father's sudden movement. But before he could react, Goku was gone, leaving behind only a whirlwind of emotions. In the blink of an eye, Goku appeared behind the king, his expression resolute as he faced the looming threat. With practiced ease, he reached out a hand towards the king's swollen form, his touch imbued with a sense of urgency born of years of battle and sacrifice. The air crackled with tension as Goku focused on an energy signal far away, preparing to teleport them away from the impending explosion. "Gohan, I love you, son." Goku's voice echoed through the chaos, carrying a weight of unspoken words and unspoken promises. Gohan's heart clenched at the sound, tears welling in his eyes as he struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what was happening. For so long, his father had been his guiding light, his unwavering pillar of strength. Now, faced with the prospect of losing him, Gohan felt a wave of fear and uncertainty wash over him. With the energy signal found, Goku and the king vanished from sight, leaving behind a stunned silence in their wake. Gohan's cry echoed through the desolate landscape, a poignant reminder of the bonds that tied them together, even across the vast expanse of space. As Gohan stood amidst the wreckage, his mind whirled with conflicting emotions. Anger, sadness, and determination warred for dominance within him, each vying for his attention. But amidst the chaos, one thing remained clear. He would honor his father's sacrifice by protecting those he loved and fighting for a future free from tyranny and darkness. Goku materialized on King Kai's planet just moments before the king's body reached its breaking point, his expression calm and composed despite the impending explosion. King Kai's eyes widened in disbelief as he took in Goku's sudden appearance, his mouth opening in a silent scream of horror. "Goku, what have you done?" King Kai exclaimed, his voice tinged with panic as he backed away, his movements frantic as he sought refuge behind Bubbles and Gregory. "You can't bring that kind of trouble here." Goku's easy smile remained firmly in place as he greeted King Kai with a casual wave. "Hey there, King Kai. Long time no see," he said cheerfully, as if oblivious to the chaos unfolding around them. "Don't worry, you're already dead, it should be fine." But King Kai wasn't convinced, his eyes darting nervously between Goku and the swelling figure of the king. "Already dead? Do you have any idea what you've brought to my doorstep?" he sputtered, his voice rising with each word. "I can't have you causing explosions on my planet. It's against the rules." As the king's energy reached its peak, Goku's expression shifted to one of determination, his eyes narrowing in focus as he prepared to take action. "Sorry, King Kai, but there's no time to argue," he said firmly, his voice cutting through the chaos. Just like that, the king's body had enough and a huge explosion was caused, destroying King Kai's planet. "Damn it, Goku!" The sound of a door opening echoed throughout the house. "Mom, I'm home," a young Gohan, around the age of 5, called out as he entered the home. He looked as if he had just returned from Namek, wearing Scion armor that was a bit too big for his small frame, with his characteristic bowl cut bobbing with each step. No one answered him, and as he walked through the silent, empty rooms, an uneasy feeling began to gnaw at him. His small body tensed, and his heartbeat quickened. He felt scared. With a trembling hand, he pushed open the door to his mother's room. The sight that greeted him almost made him pass out. Chi-Chi lay in a pool of blood, her lifeless eyes staring at the ceiling. A shadowy figure stood ominously above her body. Gohan began to shake, not from fear but from a growing, uncontrollable anger. His small fists clenched tightly at his sides, and his eyes filled with a blazing rage. "Do you really think you'd be able to beat me?" The figure took a step closer, their voice dripping with contempt. The light from the hallway revealed otherworldly garments, but only the bottom half of their face was visible. A cruel smirk spread across their lips. "Get stronger, Gohan, or everything you see will become true. I can promise you that." A maniacal laughter erupted from this unknown being that echoed throughout the house. Gohan's black eyes snapped open as he jolted upright, gasping for air, drenched in a cold sweat. His heart pounded like a drum inside his chest. The nightmare had felt so real. The blonde woman next to him stirred and placed a gentle hand on his back, her touch soothing. "It's okay. Gohan, you're home. Everything is fine," Android 18 said softly, rubbing his back in slow, comforting circles. His breathing slowed as he gradually calmed down. He stood up, only wearing his boxers, and made his way over to his drawer. He pulled out an orange training GI that resembled his father's. "Sweetie, it's 3 a.m. Where are you going?" Android 18 asked, concern lacing her voice as she watched him dress. Gohan's movements were deliberate and almost robotic, as if he were trying to shut out his emotions. "I just need to clear my head a bit," he replied, his voice low and strained. "All right, just make sure you take your phone with you." so I can call you in case of an emergency." He grabbed his phone, kissed 18 on the forehead, and headed out, feeling her worried eyes on his back. The early morning sky was synonymous with the late night, a dark blanket riddled with stars and distant planets. The fresh air brushed against his face as he flew through the sky, the cool breeze doing little to soothe his troubled mind. It had been a few weeks since Goku's death, and the Sun family, along with their close friends, were struggling to cope with the loss. Gohan, in particular, was going through a mental crisis. This time felt different from when his father died fighting Raditz. The bond they had forged during their years in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber was unbreakable, and now it had been shattered. After spending years training intensely with his father, Gohan had felt invincible, their bond tightening into something unbreakable. But now, Goku was gone because of Gohan's perceived carelessness. He felt weak, inadequate, and responsible for not doing enough to protect his friends and family. These thoughts plagued him as he flew, his heart heavy with guilt and regret. Gohan arrived at his destination, a large deserted wasteland under the starry sky. The silence and emptiness of the place seemed to mirror the void in his heart. Clenching his fists as if he was about to unleash his power, tears began to stream down his face. The frustration and anger that had been building up inside him finally reached a breaking point. Blood started to trickle down his fists as his nails dug into his palms, a physical manifestation of his inner turmoil. Unable to contain his emotions any longer, he let out a primal scream. Hiya! A white aura enveloped his body as his energy surged, obliterating the ground beneath him. The sheer force of his power created a shockwave that echoed across the wasteland. His scream was a cathartic release of all the pain, guilt, and rage he had been holding inside. It was a desperate attempt to rid himself of the overwhelming emotions that threatened to consume him. As the ground around him cracked and shattered, Gohan's tears continued to flow, mixing with the blood from his fists, symbolizing the intense inner battle he was fighting. Each tear that fell was evidence to his suffering, each drop of blood a mark of his determination to become stronger. He stood there, his aura blazing brightly in the dark wasteland, vowing silently to never let his loved ones suffer again. The nightmare, the loss, the guilt, it all fueled his resolve. Gohan knew he had to push beyond his limits, not just for himself but for everyone who believed in him. And as the stars above continued to shine, Gohan's scream slowly subsided, leaving him standing in the midst of the destruction he had wrought. His heart a little lighter, his mind a little clearer, and his resolve stronger than ever. After calming down, Gohan sat down and crossed his legs, taking a deep breath as he began to meditate. His former teacher, Piccolo, had taught him the importance of clearing his mind and finding inner peace, especially in times of turmoil. Closing his eyes, Gohan focused on his breathing, allowing his thoughts to settle. He needed to determine the best way, no, the most efficient way to get stronger. What must be done? And why? These questions weighed heavily on his mind as he sifted through the myriad of possibilities. Gohan's thoughts raced as he considered his options. The Hyperbolic Time Chamber? Training with Vegeta? Seeking out new mentors? Each path had its merits, but he needed something different, something that would push him beyond his current limits. He needed to ensure that he would never be in a position of helplessness again. After what felt like hours, a memory sparked a revelation. His father had once told him about a planet named Yardrat, a place he ended up after Namek exploded. The Yardratians possessed unique techniques and had helped Goku learn instant transmission. If he could train under them, perhaps he could unlock new abilities and enhance his existing skills. As the idea solidified in his mind, Gohan opened his eyes, feeling a mixture of resolve and apprehension. He knew what needed to be done, but the path ahead was not one he took lightly. Leaving Earth, even for a short time, meant leaving his loved ones behind. It meant leaving Android 18, who had been a pillar of support for him. Standing up, Gohan took a deep breath, steeling himself for the conversation he needed to have. The end justifies the means, he reminded himself. Sometimes, difficult decisions must be made for the greater good. He had to become stronger, not just for himself but for everyone he cared about. He flew back home, the cool night air doing little to soothe the knot in his stomach. Arriving at his house, he landed softly and entered quietly, finding Android 18 still awake, waiting for him. She looked up as he walked in, concern etched on her face. Gohan, is everything all right? Gohan nodded, trying to find the right words. 18, I need to talk to you about something important. She stood up, walking over to him and taking his hand. What is it? You can tell me anything. Taking a deep breath, Gohan began. I've been thinking a lot about how I can get stronger. After everything that's happened, I can't shake the feeling that I need to do more. I need to be better prepared. Android 18 squeezed his hand gently. I understand. What do you have in mind? I remember my dad telling me about a planet called Yardrat, Gohan explained. The Yardratians have unique techniques, and I believe training with them could help me unlock new abilities and enhance my current skills. But to do that, I'd have to leave Earth for a while. 18's eyes widened slightly, a mix of surprise and concern flashing across her face. How long are we talking about? I'm not sure, Gohan admitted. It could be weeks, maybe even months. But I believe it's necessary for me to go if I'm going to protect everyone I care about. She looked into his eyes, searching for any hesitation. Gohan, I won't lie and say that I'm not worried, but I also know that you're doing this for the right reasons. If this is what you need to do, then I'll support you. Relief washed over Gohan as he pulled her into a tight embrace. Thank you, 18. I promise I'll come back stronger and ready to protect everyone. She hugged him back, her voice soft but firm. Just promise me you'll stay safe and come back to us. I promise, Gohan replied, determination filling his heart. I'll come back, and I'll be stronger than ever. The following day, Gohan made his way to Capsule Corp to speak with Bulma about using the same spaceship they had used to travel to Namek. As he entered the laboratory, he found her tinkering with some new device. Hey, Bulma, Gohan greeted, a determined look on his face. Bulma looked up and smiled. Hey, Gohan, what brings you here? I need to use the spaceship we used to get to Namek, Gohan said, his voice firm. I plan on leaving Earth to go train. Bulma raised an eyebrow but nodded thoughtfully. You're in luck. I did some maintenance on the ship a few months ago. I also upgraded the training room and the rejuvenation chamber inside it. But are you sure about this? Gohan nodded. Yeah, this is the path I know I have to take. Nearby, Vegeta leaned against the doorframe, his arms crossed as he listened to the conversation. Don't come back until you've found what you're looking for, he said, his voice gruff. The trip will be a waste otherwise. With that, Vegeta uncrossed his arms and headed towards the gravity chamber to train. Gohan smirked slightly, knowing that beneath Vegeta's tough exterior, there was a hint of concern. Thanks, Bulma, Gohan said as he prepared the ship. I really appreciate it. Just come back safe, Bulma replied with a smile. We're all counting on you. As Gohan continued his preparations, his friends and family gathered to say their goodbyes. Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Piccolo, and Android 18 were all there, each with their own words of encouragement. Guys, I'll be back. Don't worry, Gohan said confidently. Just make sure you wait for me. Android 18 walked over and wrapped her arms around him. I promise I'll be here for you, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. A strange sensation built up behind her eyes, and she fought to keep her tears from falling. Standing on her tiptoes, she kissed his cheek and smiled. Come back soon, okay? Gohan nodded, touched by her words. I will. Chi-Chi came to the forefront, holding a sleeping baby Goten in her arms. Her eyes were filled with worry and sadness. Are you sure you have to go? She asked softly. We just lost your father, and now you're leaving too. Gohan's heart ached at the sight of his mother's distress. He walked over and gently hugged her, careful not to wake Goten. Mom, I have to do this. I need to get stronger so I can protect all of you. I promise I'll come back. Chi-Chi sniffled, her grip tightening on him. Just be safe, Gohan. Come back to us. I will, Mom, Gohan said, his voice filled with resolve. I love you. With a final wave, Gohan boarded the ship. The engines roared to life, and as the spacecraft lifted off, he looked down at the faces of his loved ones. Each of them carried a mixture of hope and anxiety, but Gohan knew this was the right path. He had to become stronger, for their sake and for his own. The ship ascended into the sky, and Gohan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Yardrat awaited him, and with it, the promise of new strength and abilities. As the stars began to blur into streaks of light, Gohan steeled himself for the journey ahead. This was his chance to honor his father's legacy and ensure that the sacrifices made were not in vain. 2 days later, in the middle of a grassy prairie area, the atmosphere began to distort. Space bent against its will as a yellow machine materialized. The top of it was glass, allowing a clear view of the occupant inside. A young man with long lavender hair that barely touched his shoulders, clad in a sleeveless purple Capsule Corporation jacket, sat inside. "I made it back," Future Trunks said to himself, a hint of relief in his voice. He opened the top hatch of the time machine, hopped out, and locked it securely. Gazing at the familiar landscape, he took off into the skies, eager to see his mother and father. Touching down in West City, where Capsule Corp was located, Trunks smiled at the sight of a bustling city, untouched by destruction. People walked around, busy with their daily lives. The contrast to his war-torn future was striking and heartwarming. Trunks approached the entrance of Capsule Corp and rang the doorbell. A few moments later, the door opened, revealing Bulma holding a baby Trunks in her arms. Her eyes widened with surprise and delight. "Trunks, what are you doing here?" she exclaimed. Trunks smiled warmly. "I defeated the androids in my timeline, so I decided to come back and see how everyone is doing." Bulma's eyes sparkled with pride. "That's wonderful news, but things haven't been easy here either. Your father has been in a slump ever since Goku died. He tries to train, but it seems like his heart isn't in it anymore." Trunks looked at his mother, a bit confused. "I trained with father for a whole year. I doubt I'll be able to get him out of his slump." Bulma sighed and adjusted baby Trunks in her arms. "You'd be surprised. Your presence might be just what he needs to snap out of it. Sometimes it's not about the training, but about family." Trunks nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "All right, Mom. I'll do my best." As they walked through the halls of Capsule Corp, Bulma updated Trunks on recent events. Things have been relatively peaceful, but the loss of Goku has hit everyone hard. Gohan's left to train on Yardrat, and Chi-Chi is still coping with everything while taking care of Goten. Trunks listened intently, feeling the burden of their loss. It's hard to imagine a world without Goku. He was always the cornerstone of our strength and hope. Bulma nodded. "Exactly, which is why it's so important that we all stay strong. We have to be ready for anything, especially with the threats that keep popping up." They arrived at the training area, where Vegeta was relentlessly pounding away at a custom-made gravity punching bag. Sweat dripped from his forehead, and his face was a mask of frustration. "Father," Trunks called out, his voice cutting through the sound of Vegeta's strikes. Vegeta stopped mid-punch and turned to see his son. His expression softened just a bit. "Trunks," he acknowledged, wiping sweat from his brow. "What brings you back here?" "I've defeated the androids in my timeline," Trunks said, stepping closer. "I wanted to check on everyone here and see how things are going." Vegeta's eyes narrowed slightly, masking his emotions. "Good. At least one of us accomplished something worthwhile." Trunks frowned. "Father, you know that's not true. You've always been strong. Stronger than anyone gives you credit for." Vegeta's fists clenched. "Strength is meaningless without a purpose." Bulma stepped forward, placing a hand on Vegeta's arm. "Vegeta, Trunks is right. You're stronger than you realize, and you still have a purpose. Our family needs you." Vegeta looked between his wife and son, the weight of their words sinking in. "Perhaps," he muttered, his resolve wavering. While Trunks, Bulma, and Vegeta were talking, the TV in the background seemed to get louder on its own. The news anchor's excited voice filled the room, catching everyone's attention. And in a thrilling announcement, XS Cash will be hosting the first ever intergalactic tournament. Fighters from all across the universe will compete for glory, and the finalist will have a chance to fight the one who defeated Cell, Mr. Satan. Bulma turned to Trunks and Vegeta, her eyes sparkling with interest. Did you hear that? An intergalactic tournament. You two should enter. It would be good to see what other aliens are out there and how you measure up against them. Vegeta scoffed, crossing his arms over his chest. I have better things to do than waste my time fighting a bunch of weaklings. Besides, fighting Mr. Satan? What a joke. Trunks sighed at his father's attitude. Father, it's not about fighting Mr. Satan. It's about the competition and testing our limits against new opponents. We could learn a lot from this. Bulma nodded, her enthusiasm undeterred by Vegeta's dismissal. Exactly. Plus, it could be a great opportunity to get your mind off things. You've been training nonstop, and this could be a good change of pace. Vegeta turned his back to them, ready to leave the room. If you think I need a distraction, you're mistaken. I will become the strongest in my own way. Enter if you want, but don't expect me to join in your foolishness. With that, he walked away, heading towards the gravity chamber. Trunks shook his head, a mixture of frustration and understanding in his eyes. I guess some things never change, he muttered. Bulma placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Don't worry about him. He's just being his usual stubborn self. You should enter the tournament, Trunks. It could be exactly what you need. Trunks nodded, feeling a sense of determination. All right, Mom. I'll enter the tournament. It might be just what I need to clear my head and grow stronger. Bulma smiled proudly. That's the spirit. Let's get you registered. Who knows? You might even meet some interesting fighters and make a few friends along the way. As Trunks and Bulma began the process of entering him into the tournament, the anticipation of the upcoming battles filled the air. On Master Roshi's island, the sun was high in the sky, casting a bright golden hue over the waves. Krillin was in the midst of an intense training session, beads of sweat dripping from his bald head. He and Master Roshi were practicing martial arts stances on the sandy shore, with Yumagame, the sea turtle, observing from a comfortable spot nearby. All right, Krillin, Master Roshi said, his voice filled with a mix of authority and encouragement. Let's go over the hermit stance one more time. Remember, it's all about balance and focus. Center yourself. Krillin took a deep breath, adjusting his posture. Like this, Master Roshi? He asked, his muscles tense but steady. Exactly, Roshi replied, nodding approvingly. Keep your core strong and your mind clear. The hermit stance isn't just about physical strength. It's about inner peace and readiness. In a tournament, that can make all the difference. Krillin exhaled slowly, his confidence growing. Thanks, Master Roshi. I've been thinking, if I win the prize money from this tournament, it would be great to get my own place. No offense, but sleeping on your couch next to Yumagame isn't exactly the most comfortable arrangement. Roshi chuckled, stroking his beard. None taken, my boy. You've been a wonderful guest, but I think it's time you found your own path. Besides, Yumagame does take up quite a bit of space. Yumagame lifted his head and made a low grumbling sound, as if agreeing with Roshi's assessment. Krillin, finding it hilarious, laughed at the sea turtle. Piccolo sat on a mountain top, enveloped in the tranquil silence of his meditation. His legs were crossed in his traditional pose, hands resting on his knees, eyes closed as he focused inward. The gentle breeze rustled his cape, but his concentration remained unbroken. He had recently heard about the upcoming intergalactic tournament from Dend. The idea of competing intrigued him. It would be an excellent opportunity to measure his strength against beings from across the universe. Piccolo was not one for vanity, but he knew that the tournament could be a crucible for his growth. After Cell transformed into his second stage, I was useless, Piccolo thought, his mind replaying the events of that harrowing battle. And against our last foe, I didn't hold up long enough. I need a breakthrough. He recalled the frustration and helplessness he felt during those crucial moments. His power, which had seemed formidable, was proven inadequate. Piccolo's desire to protect Earth and his friends burned stronger than ever, and this tournament could provide the intense training he needed. Piccolo opened his eyes and looked out over the vast landscape. The sun was high in the sky, casting a warm, golden light over the mountains. The Namekian wondered which of the Z-fighters were going to enter. It would be a good experience for those who did. Yamcha and Tien were engaged in light sparring, their movements fluid and controlled as they warmed up for the upcoming intergalactic tournament. Yamcha, once on the verge of retiring from martial arts, had found a renewed sense of purpose. He joined the tournament with the hope of winning the prize money to invest in a youth baseball league. His love for the sport and his desire to inspire young athletes had reignited his passion for martial arts. "Your form looks solid, Yamcha," Tien commented, blocking a quick jab and countering with a swift kick. "Thanks, Tien," Yamcha replied, dodging the kick with ease. "I've been putting in extra hours. I want to give those kids a chance to follow their dreams." Tien nodded, understanding the sentiment. "It's a noble cause, and it'll be good to see you back in action." For Tien, the motivation to join the tournament was different but equally meaningful. He aspired to open his own martial arts school, a place where he could pass on his knowledge and train the next generation of warriors. The tournament's prize money would provide the perfect start to realize this dream. "We both have a lot riding on this tournament," Tien said, launching a series of precise punches that Yamcha deftly blocked. "Yeah," Yamcha agreed, a determined smile on his face. "Let's make sure we're ready for anything." The two warriors continued their sparring, pushing each other to be better, faster, and stronger. Over the loud intercom stationed across the island, the announcer's voice boomed, capturing the attention of the excited crowd. "Welcome to Battle Island, home to the first ever intergalactic tournament. 200 fighters are enrolled in the preliminary round, which is now underway on 8 specialized stages. The rules are simple. On each stage, 25 contestants battle in a freestyle battle royale. Fighters are disqualified if they faint, surrender, or fall into the sea. The last one standing on each stage moves on to the semifinals. Killing is prohibited, of course, as are weapons." On one of the platforms, Krillin knocked off multiple martial artists and then looked at the camera. "That's Krillin with 2 L's, and I do take checks." He heard a small but familiar voice shouting from the crowd. "You can do it, Tien." Glancing over, he saw Kairatsu cheering on the 3-eyed martial artist. A bead of sweat formed on Krillin's brow. "Tien? He's definitely challenging. My luck of getting a new apartment just dropped." "Hiya!" A deep voice roared from an upper platform, followed by a pile of martial artists tumbling into the ocean. Krillin's eyes widened. "Piccolo's here too. Might as well have Vegeta here to make it a full set." "You can do it," a blue-haired woman's voice shouted from the crowd. Krillin's heart sank further as he recognized Bulma's encouragement. "My luck can't be this bad," he muttered. Looking up to another platform, instead of seeing Vegeta, he saw future Trunks. "Yeah, that's not any better." The monk sighed in resignation but continued to dispatch the fighters in his area. Yamcha, lying on top of the highest structure he could find, gazed at the sky with a sense of dread. "I knew it was too good to be true. Piccolo and Trunks are here. There's no way I'm getting the prize money now." With a sigh, he hopped down onto his platform and began systematically defeating the no-name martial artists in his division. After a few intense minutes, the announcer took to the big screen. "Ladies and gentlemen, our preliminary round is over. For the first match, we have Doskoi versus Baliak. Next, we have 2 veteran fighters, Piccolo versus Krillin. For the third round, we have the amazing Tien Shinhan versus Trunks. And our fourth and final fight will feature the famous baseball star Yamcha versus Patio. Now, let the fights commence." Krillin took a deep breath, looking across at Piccolo. "I can do this. He's not unbeatable. Well, unless he uses his special beam cannon. Then I'm dead." The crowd roared in anticipation as the tournament battle was about to begin.